Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, no longer Los Angeles, California, to be pseudo-specific. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is, well, your favorite day you've had all day. Thursday, November 20th, 2025. And this right here that you are watching is called the TNAM Daily Show. Where do you find that? You find that on the new American media because the old American media has failed you. Programming note tonight, Strictly Football, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Strictly Football, myself, Mike Barrett, Jim Mitchell, and Azrael Robinson. Strictly Football today at 4 p.m. Eastern. I say tonight, but, in a couple of hours. We've split our show. We're now on season 2, episode 15 this season, something like that. I wonder if instead of season 2 episode this, maybe I should just do episode number 32, 33, 34, 35. I might do that. It takes up less space and it's probably easier to find, but it's nice to know you're on season 2. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Hello, everybody. Let me pull the comments up on the screen. Question of the day. Do you agree or disagree? How do I ask this question? I should keep the Strictly Football title by season and episode number. So like right now it's season 2, episode 15. I'd have to double check. And I will when I launch the show. Or should it just say, hold on, I got to make it as agree to disagree. Agree or disagree. Keep season 2, episode 15. Agree or disagree. Tell me in the comments. Question of the day. And of course, Strictly Football. Let me play you the intro for it. You should come over and join. And I know most of my regulars do, but there's people tuning in today for the very first time. Oh, I need to switch something. Once again, could not remember to monetize this stream prior to launching. I'm new to this. The one thing I've noticed now that I'm back in business with YouTube, that's been 5 years since our content was monetized. I have noticed that there's advertisements that play even if they're not stopping the show with like a pre-roll commercial in between. Like it will put advertisements on the watch screen that they can bill to the customer without interrupting the fact that you're watching a stream live. So I don't know how it works if you joined before. Actually, there's a question. I'd be curious if one or two of you could switch and hit refresh. Tell me what happens. Do they play a pre-roll ad to even get the show started? And then does that feed show different stuff during the stream that the people who got here before don't see? I'd be curious. But yeah, I'm just very curious as to your comments today on all of the things, I suppose. But yeah, let me advertise the show. Strictly Football. Check it out.
Hi, this is Eric Metcalf, and you're watching Unhappy Hour.
New American Media is proud to present a division of the Unhappy Hour sports show, Strictly Football.
It's the Unhappy Hour.
So yeah, anybody who's out there watching on podcast, if you have a podcast format, could you please subscribe to both the Unhappy Hour sports show and the Agree to Disagree show? I know that like this year I've changed it to the TNAM Daily Show, and maybe these will end up being two different podcasts. Maybe they should be. But pretty much over the past 14 years, anything called the Agree to Disagree Show has been some version of myself and Blake co-producing. He would produce, I would produce, co-host, guest, whatever dynamic we had. It was all of them and some of them, depending on how we did it. Sometimes it was me on my own talking about what was happening. Sometimes it was me bringing in random guests for little segments. Sometimes it was me with long multi-hour sit-downs with people you recognize and people that are interesting enough to take up some of your time. So I'm trying to figure it out. I got a lot of irons in the fire. Am I watching this? Okay. So on the other screen, it looks like it's doing a pre-roll advertisement in advance, but I don't know if I have it on here. So let me close it out of here and restart it. Got to watch from different. We have so many different ways to connect. I had this realization: what if YouTube wasn't there tomorrow and you wanted to still hang out and watch the news? How many of you can you raise your hand? Another question of the day. This is we're playing some tennis here. I know that sounds more like ping pong. Then it fell off and rolled into the corner by the sump pump. Anybody have a ping pong ball fall off the table and roll over somewhere near the sump pump? Where else are you going to put a stinging ping pong table? All right, let's say hello to everyone before we get the show started. Good morning, TNM. Hello, Leon. Trash Panda. Troopy Dog. Marion. Howdy to all. Howdy do. What's up? John. Ken F. Seasoned greetings. Yeah, seasoned greetings. Here's a question of the day. This is very crowd participation. Type QOTD and put the answer. If you could only put 3 items on a plate and do the best Thanksgiving you've ever done, what 3 items do you create? Tell me in the comments, please. Like, what family dish passed down from generation to generation? What would you put on there? A piece of dessert, does it make the cut? Do you get like that Jell-O thing with the cranberries? Then it's got that cream cheese, whipped cream topping with the walnuts or the pecans. Oh, there's a pumpkin pie with way too much of the. By the way, another question of the day: how are my sound effects? I feel like my sound effects are sort of on point right now, but I can't hear me, so I don't even know if the stuff I do sounds like the thing that I think it does. You know? What's a favorite Thanksgiving dessert? Sweet potatoes with the candied yams. Oh, you got the butter, you got the brown sugar, you got the melty, marshmallowy. Oh. Put it back in the oven and it'll get that browning over the top. It almost gives it a tactile crunch to the outside of the marshmallows on the yams. Oh, stuffing if done right. Oh, goodness. And then for toppings, what do you for main courses? What do you go with? Turkey, ham. What else do people do besides turkey or ham? I mean, I'm fine normalizing a steak. Does anyone do like Cornish hens or like rotisserie chicken? Oh. I mean, I'd probably go turkey. We used to deep fry it. Some people think turkey's not. Some people actively dislike turkey, and I just say, how could you actively dislike turkey? I don't even understand. Do you actively dislike turkey? How about those green beans with the cream of mushroom? And then you put the fried onions on top. I want to find a way to make my own fried onions because I don't want canola oil, soybean oil, any of those seed oils. I don't want that shit. And that's what you get when you open a can of those onions. I don't know how to make those on my own. Like panko crusted, use a different kind of oil, maybe air fry it. I don't know. Trying to take versions of my favorite foods and make them into, versions that I want moving forward. But yeah, we got 1 week. So I have no idea what Strictly Football is going to look like next week. Of course, Turkey Day is usually a national holiday to just hang out. You know what? Maybe I'll do an all-day live stream. That would be friggin' fun. Because I am thankful for the regulars. Let me take this off the screen here. Welcome to my bar. I've always wanted to run a bar. Always. This is a virtual bar. Belly on up to the bar. Come on in. I don't know. What are you sitting on? You got a stool? You got a desk? You got a couch? Do most of you sit at a... Okay, here's another question of the day. When you watch the show, are you always sitting down, always standing? Are you in the car? Is it live? Is it after? Another question. Do you watch only live or do you also watch after the fact if you missed an episode? I don't know how that works. Very curious to get your feedback. But this is a virtual bar. And yeah, on a day like Thanksgiving, that's a special day in the food service industry. Servers, bartenders, cooks, all of it. It's a whole universe, and it makes the world go round. And there are some years that knocking out a big Thanksgiving dinner is the thing that you want to do. It's the thing that makes sense. It's the thing that you want to make sure the kids get to experience. You're not even doing it for you, but you're going through the motions, or you take it for granted. We've probably all had various versions of that. We don't know what's going on as a kid. We just expect it to be there and have everything perfect. And we're not helping the way that we should be. Maybe. Or maybe we are helping. It's like, get your ass over here. Come on. Turn that TV off. You're going to help me make all this stuff. Because next year, you're going to be in charge of that dish. You go, oh, okay. Every kid is raised differently with different expectations. Yeah, Thanksgiving is a nice pivot point. Kind of assess. Catch your breath. Give thanks. Another question of the day. Do you already have Christmas up? I've been working on some Christmas. Little bit of Christmas. And as a reseller, I also need to put a bunch of my Christmas stuff online. I actually found something awesome on Facebook Marketplace that I may or may not acquire today. I should probably check on that because I said I'll take it. And it's going to require quite a bit of driving, actually. But yeah, all those questions and more, type them into the comments. Let me see what you had to say, and then we'll launch the show. Yeah, I did say T-, and then I had to take care of a couple of things. Sometimes the T- is just like, I know. I'm working on it. Haven't forgot about you. It's not going to take too long. Sometimes that's what it means. Sometimes it means, hey, be here in just a moment of moments. And I sort of thought so, but. All right. Let's see. David. Hello, David. Welcome. Hey, you said seasoned greetings. Look at that, Kenneth. You took me on a 10-minute detour. But it was a fun detour because we're bar family. You go into the place. Hey, what's up? Hey, dude, how you been? I haven't talked to you in a while. Right? Why not? It can be that. It can be whatever you want it to be. But yeah, we have extended internet families now. My mom's no longer with us. My brother's no longer with us. Like, I'm never going to have those types of Thanksgivings ever again. Not like if they were. And they change. I've had them on the road. I've had them with extended family. Used to go in Los Angeles out several hours. Many different locations. Great memories. And yeah, there's some, it's like some I'm working. I'll be serving or bartending. That was a big part of my life, getting through high school, college, post-college, pre-move to Los Angeles, post-move to Los Angeles. It all sort of, these are pivot points. Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Chances to connect in different ways. Roommates, strangers, distant, semi-distant family that becomes close through these gatherings. I went on that tangent because you said seasoned greetings, and it combined both of those, the turkey seasoning and Christmas for me. So thanks for that. Yes, hope your day's going well up there in Canada, David. What were you saying about Trey New American Miola? John says it looks like it. What looks like it? What was that? What looks like Trey Miola? What does that mean? American is messed up as well? What are we talking about? Marion, I'd venture to guess the average age of the TNAM viewer is more like over 60. I actually do have demographics on YouTube. Analytics. Audience. Where's the age? Demographics. We're 62% in the United States. What would you guess? Question of the day, male versus female. And we're going to just go from what showed up when I clicked over to this version of the analytics audience. It's showing for the last 28 days. Age and gender. Well, we're 50-50, 50.3 female. Hey, 49.7 male. Yes, we're trending older. I will give you that. But let's say all time. Let me click on this. Last year, let's say for the last year. Now you got me doing the advanced analytics. 80.8% of our views are coming from subscribers, 20% organic. Okay, in the last year, 71% male. No, we got 18 to 24, 25 to 34. That's about 10 point something percent, 11%. 35 to 44, 17%. So that's 17, 20, 28%. 13 to 44. 14%. Here, let's go lifetime. Oh, let's see what happens lifetime. This is going to be crazy with the audience. Let's see if Grok can even calculate it, or YouTube can even calculate it. We started this channel April 30th, 2011. Can you believe that? Got to sneeze. Bless me. Lifetime. Yeah, we started this April 30th, 2011. 14 and a half years ago. My goodness, how time flies. Audience by watch behavior, monthly audience, new viewers are making up a lot of this. Is this all lifetime? Audience, it says lifetime. Hey, lifetime, 25 to 34 years of age is 32.6%. Take lower than that, 13 to 34. 43% of our views are 13 to 34, with most of them being 25 to 34. Check that out. Well, thanks for the deep dive in the analytics. Thanks, Marion. Kenneth, strictly cleavage is more like it. Well, now, I mean, I don't know where you would get such a idea that strictly football is playing to the base instincts of humans out there. See, we're just all about football. I tells you, all about the football. No trouble. Marion agrees. Keep season and episode. John says keep it. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Kenneth says he refreshed the YouTube channel and an ad came up. I see. What? They agree that this is egregious show? Well, that's hopefully every episode. The egregious to egregious episode. Kenneth says if I can put 3 things on a plate, just give me stuffing. There's that girl in the news for doing GBs. And I don't know her name. Do I dare look it up to make the joke? What Grok tell me? Looking. So famous I can't think of her name. Okay. Anyway. I was going to make a adult movie reference to stuffing. And I couldn't think of the girl's name. And I asked Grok twice and it couldn't tell me. Just say it's Angela White. Marion puts a plate together. Dressing. Fresh cranberries and turkey. Well, what do you do with fresh cranberries? You go, because they're very, very tart. You got to cook them down with sugar and maybe orange peels, or what do you do? Fresh cranberries, how do you cook them? How do you prepare them? John, question of the day. Turkey, you love it. Club sandwich, turkey and beer. What kind of beer? Kenneth coming in off the top rope says, Popeye, I am what I am. No stuffing. John would rather yak in his mouth. Turkeys do matter. It's a literal genocide, you guys. A literal genocide. Stuffing is butt bread. Not all of it's in the butt. Absorbing all of the cooking juices from the bird. I mean, it's respectful to the creature to use every part of it. If you're going to go to the great lengths to snuff it out, you might as well use all of it. Or they say, take all you want, but eat all you take. Take all you want, but eat all you take. So take small plates, come on up 10 times. I don't want to see a pile of good food that you threw in the garbage. That's unacceptable. That's a good way to live. Non-gluttonous. I learned that at camp. They weighed all of our trash, and the team that had the lightest amount of trash won some sort of thing that they wanted. It's smart. Because really, kids are very wasteful. And if they're just going to go through super reckless like a tornado, well, it's going to cost you a lot more money. John never cared for stuffing. Marion loves it. John's sitting and working. He watches them all. That's excellent. Marion, I have a stand-up desk. Haven't sat down for about 5 years now. Oh, I just flew in from Boise. And boy, my arm's tired. I know you've sat down in the last 5 years, but maybe not at work, you mean. Oh. Yeah, I'm very allergic. My cat wasn't up here recently. Maybe it's the shirt that I'm wearing for the first time. Starting to get a little sniffly. And no, I'm doing great. I'm boosting with. Here's a question of the day. During these cold months where we don't get a lot of sun, people say, oh, it's cold. There's going to be flu. Also, you're not getting your vitamin D from the sun. Vitamin D is super important. So during these doldrums, do you boost up with anything? What's your routine? I do like an emergency packet. I know it's got shit ingredients. It's just I've been doing it for a while, and I'm just kind of keep doing it because I make a couple scoops of a fiber drink. I do the emergency, kind of keeps the system, whatever. And I guess there's better versions of emergency with some better ingredients. But I do that, and then I do CD and zinc. I've been off CD and zinc for a little bit, maybe over the summer. Maybe if I'm around a lot of people, I'll boost up, go to a big sporting event, a big community gathering, church, or I don't know, whatever. Maybe I'll boost up then. But yeah, C, D, and zinc. And I think, was it vitamin K is a part of the zinc package or the D package? So no, I'm fine. I'm feeling great. Just a little sniffly right now, but I realize it. John, sitting, working, watch them all. Yeah, I mean, I booked Blake Wally onto the show 2011, probably 2012, a long time ago. Hello, Deb from SAC. Deb checked in yesterday. She's like, hey, did you watch Toxically Masculine Tuesday? I'm like, yeah, but she was already gone. In my defense, it did take, well, in her defense, it did take about 20, 30 minutes for me to see the comment. But yeah, after our daily show, we're replaying the previous day's show. So we run a network here. I have 1,900 videos. Why am I not broadcasting 24 hours a day? I know there's little glitches or tricks or things and ways to kind of piece it all together, and I'll work on that. I'm thinking if I could put all of my sports shows together in like an 8-hour block, but it's kind of like week to week. It's not as evergreen. But then again, I mean, the news is not evergreen in that way because current events are never going to, well, I can't say they're never going to be as popular as they are when everyone's talking about them. Sometimes stories age like fine wine. Sometimes they age like a gallon of milk that you forgot in the back of your hot car for a month. And then the plastic broke. But I share so many news stories. They're interesting. I share clips of people talking, opinions. I share a lot of opinions. And we're allowed to adjust our opinions. We're allowed to kind of tweak how we feel about things. No doubt about it. But I think those shows do kind of, I rarely play the same thing more than once from show to show. Occasionally I will. And it's sort of a function of someone else shared it, and I thought it might have been an addendum to it or a beginning to it or an ending to it. Also, it's just, there's a lot flying every day to kind of grab the interesting stuff, put it in one pile, knock away the garbage. So it's a process. But yeah, I used to work and I'd sit at the desk and Blake would be broadcasting on Freedomizer Radio. And so I'd just be typing in like, I was you. It sounds like the worst grammar on earth, but the sentence sort of makes sense. I was you. Hey, forget about it. I was you. See? No, I don't see. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? No. I was you. It was Tree Utes. Utes? Yeah, Utes. Oh, youths. Yeah, I like youth. Utes. But that's what I would do. I'd be sitting here working, and I'd have the show on. It's like, let me catch up on the news. What's happening? There's so much going on. So I'd listen to the show. Occasionally I'd jump in. But yeah, I was typing away, having a grand old time. But yeah, maybe I'm going to do a marathon Turkey Day stream. I wonder if I should do a standalone. Here's a question of the day on Thanksgiving. Should I knock out a daily show, end the show, and then knock out Strictly Football, and then end that show, and then do a live stream? Or should I do like one super long mega stream and then say, hey, at 4:00, we're going to do this part of the show? I could see pros and cons. I should do both. I should do the long mega stream and then chop it up afterward and put those up as separate pieces. But the reality is I'm working with a team of one. Downloading, uploading, editing, chopping, saving, re-uploading, retitling. That's where my... So I'm just like, I don't know. I got nothing. I'm curious. I do want to do a stream on Thursday. Kenneth says he watches our shows on the toilet. Well, thanks. And you got up there all by yourself. No, actually, he used a squatty potty. Squatty potty? Yeah, I said squatty potty. Not an official sponsor. With our revolutionary... Have you seen those squatty? Do you have a squatty potty? It like puts your feet up so like your knees are up above your head. You're like, see, that simulates what the caveman used to do. You go, knees akimbo. I mean, that's a straight, it's like being out at camp or something, going into a hole. Thanks for the visual, Kenneth. Can we get back to the food? Hey, barkeep, pour me a virtual beer. See, I think what I should do is sell virtual beer. There's got to be a way. There's a few sites that I'm looking at. A few sites. Yeah, selling virtual beer. Like as crypto tokens, maybe. And what are those things called? Not EDM, not PDFs. What are those things called? NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Remember that was all the rage for a minute? I should sell some virtual drinks. That would be interesting. Pixel beer? Pixel beer. Deb is in the house. Now, hold on. Everybody, let's stop. Oh, well, I want to talk about this, Deb. But hang on. Let me officially launch the show. This is maybe the longest intro of all time. But it's like we're having a good time here. We're connecting, we're reconnecting, and we're laying out the groundwork of what you're going to hear on the show. Today's show is called It Was a Trap, and Trump Tricked Dems into demanding Epstein justice. Agree or disagree? Type that in the comments. Trump tricked Dems, TTD, or no TTD? Do you agree or disagree that TTD or no TTD? So type that in the comments, QOTD, TTD, or no TTD. And we're going to begin the A2D show, Agree to Disagree. This is the umbrella of the TNAM Daily Show here on the New American Media. Buckle up. The show officially begins right now.
guide to the truth. thenewamericanmedia.com.
All right, everybody. Deb, we're going to get to that. Deb says I'll just start with it. Deb says I'm beginning to think Trump did trick the Dems about pushing the Epstein files out. You know the thing that I've said, and now this is where I would kind of John off the top ropes with a Rumble rant or a super chat or something. $5 for a virtual beer. Thank you. Yeah, people have buy me a coffee. It's like, buy me a beer. I really don't drink much beer these days. I do love some beer from time to time. I do try to avoid it. I've been trying to stay svelte. And beer can weigh on you. What the hell was I just talking about? Thank you for that. This is where I would advise my team to edit this part out. And if I were maybe a little bit more disciplined, I would do it myself. It's just, guys, I'm juggling lots of things. Cry me a river. I think Elon Musk, who is a pioneer in the realm of space trajectories, navigation, exploration, satellite coverage, communications, self-driving, self-moving, autonomous robots, vehicles, craft. Elon Musk, better than most, understands how to propel with a burst into a different direction with a game plan in mind. And when Elon said that Trump was in the Epstein files and they had a big blowout, it sent Elon one direction, it sent Trump in another direction, and it was hook, line, and sinker for the Dems. They bit. They took the bait. They said, well, if Elon, who's been looking under the hood of everything, found out that Trump's up to no good, we got him. We got him. Let's go get him. Yeah, but it's going to take down the Clintons. Doesn't matter. Throw them away. We got to get Trump. Guys, it's going to get Larry Summers. Do you even understand how influential Larry Summers was with our economic policy? It doesn't matter. We're going to get Trump. Okay, cool. But do you have any idea the I gotta, and by the way, these are all hypotheses, allegedly. Everyone's due their day in court and their presumption of innocence. But do you know what's going to happen with J.P. Morgan Chase? Do you have any idea what was going on with these payments? Prince Andrew? Do you have any idea what was going on? Bill Gates? Do you have any idea how deep this goes? Bill Clinton. Epstein was like in the room with Trump on many occasions at various functions. He never took the bait to go to that island. Do you know how many people did? Doesn't matter. We're going to get Trump. We're going to get Trump. We're going to use this to get Trump. Elon said. I think Elon showed us it's there. It's there. We got to go get it. We have nothing left. Everybody hates our policies. We're destroying our country. American citizens can't stand the Democrat Party. We got to do something to get Trump. Otherwise, we're never going to get back in office. And frankly, we're going to get busted for all the criminality. Criminality. Yeah, criminality. It's all the way up to high crimes, misdemeanors, sedition, treason, insurrection, all of it. In order to try to take out Trump because he was messing up our gravy train, we did all of this illegal shit, piles of illegal shit. We got to get Trump. We got to go Epstein. So they went Epstein. Did Trump trick Dems? TTD? I keep wanting to say Trump derangement syndrome, TDS. No, TTD. Trump tricked Dems. So it's very possible that's what happened. And now that you've seen the flip, it's almost like if you're watching 300 and they're being chased by the army and they take them in, they funnel them into this area where there's a mountain range, and they funnel them into one choke point and they take them out. While we're all screaming, where are the arrests? Where are the arrests? Why won't they do anything? Look, we're not going to release the Epstein tapes because we're not going to re-victimize the women on those tapes. Also, there are no Epstein tapes. Nobody has been more critical of Kash Patel. Pam Blondie. None of us have been as critical of President Trump, this administration, than we have. The New American Media, our wonderful regulars, we're all looking, we're all confused. I believe at the time I said, this is probably the worst day of President Trump's political career. He's like, Epstein, you want to talk about that guy? There's no there, and let's just move on. I mean, it took Trump acting guilty as shit to set up the Elon Musk, Trump is in the Epstein files, poof. And it allowed Elon to get the fuck away from the people who were setting fire to his cars. You know why? Because the Democrats have turned into a domestic terrorist organization. No sugarcoating, no placating, little shades of gray here. They've become a domestic terrorist organization. Are we old enough to remember when people were lighting Teslas on fire because Elon was trying to find waste, fraud, and abuse and corruption inside of our federal government to save us trillions of dollars to stop the spending so we can reduce inflation and live better lives? Oh yeah, what an asshole. Except we uncovered a ton during that time. And guess what we're uncovering now? Look at Charlotte. Look at how many school kids are not going to school. Look at the job sites that are empty. Look at the stores that are shut down. Look at the traffic patterns. How much of America has been an invasion by Obama, Biden, Harris, and their whole criminal cartel? I think reasonable people could look at the topic of immigration and go, hey, I mean, I get wanting to live somewhere better and do something better. In fact, as an American, I've been able to make those decisions myself. So I think everybody can understand why somebody would want to come to America. But that's maybe where it ends on immigration. Don't we want the best of the best? Shouldn't we have pre-qualifications? If a woman, how do I phrase this? Careful, Brian. I had the person on my shoulder with the wings going, careful, Brian. I'm like, all right, hang on. We already established on yesterday's show, I talk, and sometimes I don't even know what I'm saying. I go, what was I just talking about? We're not playing Stump a Stoner. It's literally, there are so many, they're like Tetris pieces of ideas coming at me, and I'm trying to build walls of them and kind of clear some levels so that I can continue, because the pieces don't stop, and I'm trying to catch up. And I'm like, I don't know. I remember when you did that thing? I go, no, I don't remember. It's not a wise idea for a woman to open her legs to anything that wants inside, right? We would all agree it's a bad idea for a woman to spread wide for whatever feels like going there. Is that fair to say? If you had a family member, a sister, a mother, a grandmother, a daughter, whatever, a cousin, you would probably advise them as somebody that you care about. Obviously, you don't want to open your legs and let anybody inside that wants to go inside. Why would America do that? Every nightclub on earth, every nightclub in America, stick to America. Papers, please. You Nazi! Cool. Papers, please. Show me your ID or get to the back of the line. I got people waiting. Oh, okay, yeah. Here's my ID. Uh-huh. What's your address? Mm-hmm. What is your, what one of the good tricks was? You say, okay. What's your name? And you read it and you go, what's your zodiac sign? And you're not looking here. You're looking at their eyes. This whole time, you're kind of looking at the card. I got so many tricks on this shit. What's your zodiac sign? And they'll go, and they'll give you the look that Trump gave when it was like about the Epstein files. He's like, look, it's a hoax. It's a hoax. They're eating dogs and cats, but it's a hoax. And he looked like someone trying to use a fake ID when they got busted because they didn't think to memorize what zodiac sign. Because everyone knows, yeah, I'm a Capricorn, I'm a Taurus, I'm a Libra. But you're trying to no, I'm Susan Wiles. Yeah, Susie Wiles. No, I'm this person. No, here's my address, 13304. Okay, yeah, I can memorize that. Yeah, I can memorize that. Oh, you can? What's your sign? Gotcha. Every nightclub has a bouncer. Oh, well, it's too hard to get into America legally. What? You got to show your ID and pay a cover charge? Yeah, there should be no cover charge. This is America. I'm libertarian. Everybody should be able to go everywhere. There should be no borders, no walls, and we're all one people. Yeah, you're sounding like a New World Order globalist with no borders. You're going to consolidate this under one supreme leader that we're not going to be able to challenge and handle domestic situations with. We're going to be at the wit and whimsy. We're going to be at the whimsy of one all-powerful creature that governs everything on earth. All borders will be blurred. Sovereignty will be erased. We're all one humanity, people. We're all one race of humans. No countries, no borders, no walls. That's what Soros, that's what the New World Order, that's what the globalists, that's what the Democrats, that's what the rhinos all want. Just mix all the colors of paint together and you'll get a... That's their plan. Of course you want to limit and restrict the people who want to get inside. Be it your panties or be it your country, you should be discerning on who you let inside. The best of the best. A select few. Not everyone. Yeah, man, but that's not fair to everyone. Do I look like I give a shit? Matt Walsh said it great. He did a good job explaining America first, America only, because I didn't like America only because it's very short-sighted. It almost implies you don't need to engage in geopolitics to participate in the role of president or Congress, everything. There's so many countries, so many interests, so many corporations, so many conflicts and wars and strategies and crossing and double crossing and deal making. It's all cloak and dagger. I understand why we have a Central Intelligence Agency. I understand why we have a National Security Agency. I'm not going to go through all the three-letter agencies, but you get my point. I get it. But you were never supposed to turn that shit on us. You were never supposed to turn that shit inward on us. We're normal people. We're good people. We're Americans. We have civil liberties. You don't get to just fucking spy on all of our shit all the goddamn time. I want to stop saying that word. I've gone my whole life not saying it. And then I've started bringing it into my routine. I want to peel back. I want to take that one back. I want to try to stop saying that. I want to try to stop swearing anyway. But you get me fired up, and I'm reaching back into the crayon box to find some colorful language. Because it gets me real fired up. The treason that they've committed in the grand conspiracy, all to take out Trump. Oh, Orange Man bad. Frame him, shoot him, indict him, impeach him again, frame him again, shoot him again. Fuck you. It's not to say he's worthy of worship. He's just getting a lot of the basic stuff right. And he is going around the globe as a peacemaker, making deals, fixing the flaws in our supply chains, trying to get some of this country put back together, because Humpty Dumpty fell off this wall a long time ago. Was it 1913? Was it after World War II? Was it in 1971? There's different points on we lost our money, our monetary system. We're off the gold standard. 37 trillion. Money printer go burr. Cool. I appreciate that we're getting some of this stuff right. It's not to say I approve of off-the-cuff Trump in some of the random, unnecessary, mean-spirited insults. Not necessary, not helpful, never have been. But if I'm going to gauge the top 500 concerns, we're talking about concern number 500, concern number 499, concern number 498. These are at the very bottom. I'll put up with some. No, but I've never seen somebody hit for a higher batting average than this group. So when all the Epstein stuff came and went, and when MAGA is splitting, year after year, I never saw evidence of Trump Epstein. Oh, oh, look, there they are. They posed for pictures. Yes, they did. Oh, they knew each other. Yes, they did. I've always watched and waited for evidence. I never saw anything. To be in the files, what does that mean? Oh, they had they connected, they overlapped, they met each other, they talked to each other. Yeah, they did. It's not guilt by association. If so, show me anybody in Congress who wouldn't have to get thrown out. Oh, you took money from this group. Oh, you took money from that girl. Oh, you took money from that organization. Oh, you spoke at this thing. Oh, you posed with so-and-so at a campaign rally. Yeah, that's glad handing. You're going to get that. Smiles and glad hands. Any actual evidence, any actual proof, any actual incriminating information? So Deb is saying, I'm beginning to think Trump did trick the Dems about pushing the Epstein files out. And Deb, it's like I told you, I've told this group of regulars for a while. I said, I don't understand what's happening. And if it turns out to be what it looks like, I'm going to be very disappointed. Upset, disappointed. That would be bad. In the meantime, I don't know for what reason we're not prioritizing this at this very exact second, at this exact moment. I don't quite understand the plan. Please don't say, yeah, that's why you trust the plan. Ugh, I hate trusting the plan. Hurry the hell up. Screaming, hurry up. Before they accidentally, potentially, intentionally release another COVID. So it's possible. But Deb, I've been asking people to just, let's wait and see. Let's watch the movie. Am I going to argue about it every day? I don't understand it. Yes, we've said we want it. No, we're not going to stop saying it. But for some reason, they're delaying it. So let's just let it play out and see how it goes. I'm not going to fixate every day on it. I want to fixate on all of the wins. And I think that's what Trump has been saying. He wouldn't only say that if he were guilty and he's trying to take pressure away. Well, they delayed long enough to take his name out of it. Perfect. So you keep moving the goalposts. You keep moving the football as Charlie Brown goes to kick it. You're never going to have a reasonable argument with the left. So if that's where they pivot to, you just got to laugh in their face and say, you guys are out of your minds. And I'm not certain that's the case, but it seems like it could be possible. Kenneth, he says, my S&M friends say happy Spanksgiving. Well. Hey, pass those masochist potatoes and the masochist potatoes and gravy. Yeah, the masochist potatoes and gravy. You're saying my logo looks weird. Which logo? The New American Media? It's actually off the screen again. Let me put it back up. Your logo. The TNAM Daily Show part? Or the top logo or bottom logo? I have multiple logos. The TNAM side, dude. Okay. I don't know. Like I said, I'm juggling over here. I got to get back to the comments, but age and gender, does it matter? Well, it mattered because they were saying our average listener is over 60 years old. I said, no. I said, hey now. Oh, I did sneeze. Or that's what they say in the South to someone really dumb. They go, bless your little heart. Bless you, Brian. You little dipshit. You dummy, you. Oh, you little dummy, you. Don't they say that in the South? Bless. How am I going to wipe my nose with a virtual handkerchief? Thanks, though. Deb, stuffing and gravy is the best part of Thanksgiving. Not a cranberry fan. Marion, fresh cranberries cooked down in sugar water to make it jelly-like. Ah. Yeah, but then you take that, you put a can of the pineapple in there, and then you set it in Jell-O. Then on top, you mix the cream cheese with the whipped cream. Then you sprinkle on your favorite pecan, walnut, sliced almonds. Cranberries mixed with red beans. What? I've never had that. Is that a real thing? Cranberry and red beans? Deb says, I had 24 turkeys in my yard, and on our count 2 days ago, our count 2. Wait, hold on. What are you saying? I had 24 turkeys in my yard and on our court 2 days ago. Turkey gangsters. I try to get outside and get some sun, but it's tough when it's all like overcast and gloomy. Dems get plenty of vitamin D. John takes zinc, ivermectin, vitamin C, and D. Do you take that every day? I don't know an NSYNC song. In Zinc. That's the time that we would mention that. Marion allergic to cedar trees, surrounded by them, cedar fever, real. Double up on allergy meds, December, January, February. In response to me asking, what do you take? Kenneth is aged like fine crime. Oh yeah, IBU. Don't be a you. Blaze your own trail. Yeah, I of course that's exactly what I do. But like I would hang out and just comment on Blake's show. It was fun. Kenneth has a mega stream after 6 beers. Oh yeah, we've all been there. Let's see. TDD for me. TTD. Trump is a trickster. Trump tricked the Dems because they're stupid. TTD for thee. Yes, TTD. This is tough to say. I feel like I'm having a stroke. Yep. Once again, thank you, John Brennan, for the virtual beer fund. Glug. Appreciate you. Cheers. Super chat in effect. Everybody can do that. Much obliged. Appreciate you. Deb says, we will know if the tricked the Dems when we see what's in the Epstein file. Yeah, but like I said, now they're going to say, no, Trump just delayed long enough to take his name out. All of the incriminating stuff. It's really about Trump. Well, what it's really about is the Dems colluding with Epstein to try to take Trump down. And Trump was the only person that testified to take Epstein down. And they did. He was the one. In those emails, Epstein's like, yeah, I'm 75% on the way there to thinking it was Trump that did this. So you tell me. You know, you got those comments, I don't know, it was on Howard Stern or whatever, or liking him young. And it's like, well, he knew more than he was letting on. And no, see, Trump would walk into the pageants and he was a creepo to underage little girls. And no, see, he was with E. Jean Carroll. See what happened? There was a civil case. Yeah, he wasn't allowed to defend himself in that. That was the only time something like that went to a court, and it was BS, and it's probably going to get overturned. We'll see how it goes on appeal. All right. Deb, so Elon was part of setting up the Democrats. I'm thinking so. Prince and Andrew were friends, I hear. Princes and of cabbages and kings. David says there's very little that's not true that the number 17 talked about. If you know what he's talking about. Arrests, give it a rest. Yep, Trump played the Trump card. David, though, I'm just sick of the sweet ass time they're taking and bring it all down. John, yep, look how fast they moved on from it. Let's see. Deb says, Brian, I'd love to hear what Mike thinks of your Trump tricked Dems theory, including the Elon part. Ask him. Yes. I know I'm going to see him in it. Like when we talk, Mike and I were just like strictly football. He and I, if we go out, like it's up to me to keep him under control, which is impossible. and it's up to him to keep me. Come on. All right, let's wrap it up. Come on, keep it tight. Let's go. We do a decent job in that regard. 2 seasons under our belt. Now we've added 2 extra full-time members in Jim Mitchell and Ezrael Robinson. So that doubles the length of time. But it also kind of doubles the depth of the show. Different angles, different perspectives, different takes, different pieces of information, stuff I would have never said, stuff that is very worth saying. I love it. Izzy says shit. I'm like, I don't even know where you got all this information. Same with, they all say it. So it's, but it is good because we both want to do that sports show minus the politics of the day. Because everything Mike and I do, it's just politics. So it's like, can we just have a safe space? Because I've always considered the Unhappy Hour to be a place where you combine sports and politics. Because ESPN won't leave us alone. ABC, ESPN, Disney. They've ruined that formerly fine network. To some degree, a little bit of social justice. Hey, look, sports for a good cause. But that good cause is not always whitey bad, system bad, America bad. Trans good. Men should be swimming against it in the locker rooms and beating up women. No, that's not good. Men or women, huh? What are you guys even doing? In the sporting realm, it should have been the easiest thing on earth to just go, guys, stop. We're not letting a dude beat up a lady in the ring. And the Olympics have finally changed course. And some of the ladies do have like raging testosterone levels. There are some unique cases, which they have to figure out in the minutia, but micro, macro, bigger picture, sports should have been the easiest place to shoot down all this woke stuff, except it's ABC, ESPN, Disney, who has a hard-on for going after Trump, trying to ruin MAGA, trying to destroy the United States. They're all in on it. So it became by proxy another attack vehicle for the left. And they knew how ridiculous their positions were, but they had no choice. They had to do it because the radicals took over their party. That's what happens when radicals take over, which is why you should be selective of the people that you put into those positions in the first flipping place. Okay. But yeah, Deb, I'd love to hear what Mike thinks of my Trump tricked Dems theory. And I'm not 100% to believing that's what happened. But finally, for the first time in a minute, I'm sort of leaning back toward it going, since none of this has made any sense, at least that's a plan that I would understand. And that rhymes. Someone reach out to Harry Mack and ask him to use that quote in a freestyle. At least that's a plan that I understand. It's like a slant rhyme. John says we already have the best of the best. Stay out, country's full. Nice. I said, sir. They said, sir, what are you going to do when the macho man Randy Savage comes for you? Ooh, yeah. Oh, ooh, yeah. Anyway, John says you take ivermectin once and then monthly. Once monthly, others daily, if I remember. David says it was an exit strategy for Elon to get out of Doge and lure the stupid people into thinking Trump was involved. He had to save his company from they were target number one, the domestic terrorists of the Democrat Party. So we're going to unpack the stories, see what we can learn on today's program. By the way, hit like, hit subscribe, however you happen to be watching. Here is your daily reminder that we are 100% crowd-funded. We appreciate all of your support. You can sign up to be a monthly member, set it once and forget it. And you'll just be a regular, once a month I kick $5 or $15 or $100 or $1,000 to the New American Media. I like what they're doing. I'm going to sign up for that and forget it. I do encourage that because Patreon takes very small fees. But yeah, it's on Patreon under the New American Media. Our tip jars are also out. Venmo Cash App, that's Brian Engelman, BrianEngelman. And then on PayPal, the email address is fuzzinstallment, FUZZINSTALLMENT @yahoo.com. You can do that. You can also subscribe on YouTube and Rumble. I don't know if we have a YouTube subscriber yet. And that would just like be a monthly thing. I think so, testing them all out. Definitely appreciate it. At the bottom of the screen, in case you need to pause and toss a few coins into the wishing well. All right, let's go to our Instagram feed. Let me hit refresh here. Got a lot of stories to get to. There's a lot going on, and we're going to talk about it. But look, when we talk about the show that we do, and we discuss that intro, sure, we talked a little bit about cranberry and turkey, a little bit. But we're also painting the general picture of what the show is about. There's a lot of moving parts. We're introducing ideas. We're pontificating. We're connecting dots. The intro to the show is not, you wouldn't call it the lack of a show. It's just an unconventional show. Now, some people want to get in and get out. Like it's prom night. I don't know. Like you have 5 minutes during a conjugal visit. But it's not always how I roll. I know that I'm capable of rolling that way. And I could in the future. I think. But there's some times I think I'm doing this show for me. And you just happen to be hanging out, letting me just dump the stuff inside my head. Look at the green screen behind me when I do that. Look at that. Bam. It's magic. It's TV. All right. Let's get into the news. This is the Warwick Report. What's her name? Jade Warwick. She went to Dearborn, Michigan, as did other people that I know. Whoop, where's the volume?
In Dearborn, Michigan, for the Christian, anti-Islam, pro-American march. The police didn't separate the protesters. Some people...
There's music, though. The police didn't separate the protesters. I can't. There's no...
to burn the Quran. Here's a breakdown of my day. The Michigan First group drove their bus into town.
I want to hear this, but there's music.
It was originally wrapped for the gubernatorial candidate, Anthony Hudson. Since Anthony...
I can't do it because of the music. Sorry. I really wanted to get this report. Sorry, that's on you for putting music in, and that's on YouTube for being as stingy as they are. All right, Dearborn, Michigan is unrecognizable, a lot worse and increasingly Islamic, according to this show. This is Jack Posobiec, and I don't know who the guest is here.
You seem kind of taken aback by this, even more than usual. Were you surprised when you had got there to see how far gone it had become? Were you surprised to see this in an American city?
Yeah, I think it was a lot worse than we had even heard about, to be honest with you. The amount of seemingly fundamentalists out there, and that you're seeing the city council is becoming increasingly Islamic. And this is not a small city, right? I mean, for Michigan, it's a pretty large city, actually, and it's taking over the suburbs around it as well. This is something that's been happening recently, like over the past 4 to 5 years that these towns have been popping up. And it scares me to think that something similar to this is also going to be in and around Minneapolis.
Yep.
And we're just
Texas,
letting it happen. These are the types of places where you should be seeing mass deportation raids happening on a regular basis. I know that ICE and DHS are spread thin. It's one of the reasons that I think that probably we need to start calling to use the military to do some of this stuff, or else we're never going to be able to get all these people out. Where did they come from? We don't know who they are. We know how they got here. It was across the southern border, right? Completely unchecked. And what's going on in in the mosques out there? I mean, it's pretty frightening to me that we have to ask these questions. But that's the reality we live in right now.
You seem kind of taken aback by this, even more than usual.
Steve says in the comments they have no intention of assimilating with other countries that they invade. Their plan all along has been to destroy the existing civilization and its heritage. They'll impose their beliefs by population, aggression, and indoctrination, all while cult-like society lives off the host country. Their goal is subversion of the existing government and a complete takeover of the United States, Europe, and the world. So either you stand against their culture of draconian oppression and evil, or you lose your country. This is not just my opinion. This is what they're telling us in plain English. Too bad. I wanted to hear that report from Jade. But it was because of music. All right, who's Angry Day? Avery Day. I don't know who this person is. Let's take a listen.
In case you didn't know, this is what Dearborn, Michigan looks like. Dearborn is actually home to the largest concentration of Muslims in our country. New York City has the largest population of them, but per capita, Dearborn wins.
And there is music in the background of this, too. It's something Middle Eastern that I can't make out, but that doesn't mean it's not copywritten.
And when you go into another country and you wave other...
Yeah, there's music here. Sorry, guys. What did she type? Doing nothing about the Islamic invasion is not an option. The Western world will have to take draconian measures if we want future generations to experience the same freedoms we do, says Avery. Offer incentives to get foreign-born individuals to revoke citizenship. Cut all benefits and subsidies for the foreign-born. No family chain migration. No migration from OIC countries. Enforce English-only public schools. Ban Arabic signage in government buildings. Outlaw Sharia. Ban the Muslim call to prayer. This is the only way to ensure our survival, says Avery Day. Can't play the report because they put music underneath. All right, well, she referenced Minneapolis, or maybe the other person did. Yeah, the person on Jack Posobic's show referenced Minneapolis. Anti-ICE protesters in Minnesota FA and try to block ICE. Then they immediately FO. That seems to have worked.
No pay.
I wonder if I can find my video when I got pepper sprayed. Let me see if I can find that. Let me share this instead.
So, just got tear gassed, and these guys, these guys are friggin' awesome. So, if any of you run into a situation like this, learning what we've learned, we put a little bit of water in, you gotta blink, 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 blink. I just learned my lesson. They just gassed everybody over here.
And of course, that was on January 6th. We'll do, in case you missed it, I'll share that on X. Yeah, it's no joke when you get pepper sprayed. They let off all of that gas, and that was difficult. Could barely see. Yeah, it was very difficult. Kenneth saying, Dr. Pepper sprayed. It's not that bad. Marion, they don't have a right to try to stop law enforcement, so there you go. Exactly. And they're being encouraged to be lawless, including, hey, there's calls for treason. We're going to get to that. They rolled out an ad campaign a day or two ago calling on military to defy Trump's orders. They're literally committing sedition, insurrection, treason, and Trump has called them out on it. So it's about to get very interesting. Anyway. All right. Did you know that Democrat spelled backwards is asshole? Hey, if they can make shit up, so can we. I mean, if they can make shit up, so can we, right? That's what I wish half my content was, just clever little quips, clever little jokes. Unfortunately, I got to dig around in the trash and get my hands all gross, covering things I really don't want to deal with. But it is what it is. Okay, who's this? It's all politics. Says this is kind of. Where's the volume? Is the volume up? Let's try it.
I think it's important to note that even from the beginning of my task force in January of this year, I was really pushing to figure out what the deal was with these documents. And in around February timeframe, I was made aware by a whistleblower, of which I have since reported this to the FBI. And it was actually the only outlet in the country that would report on our findings was Fox News. We had actually reported that we were made aware of a whistleblower that under the former deputy director of the FBI, so under Biden's FBI, there was destruction of evidence specifically pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein and
Anna Paulina Luna saying there was destruction of evidence by the Biden FBI regarding Epstein.
Potential evidence tampering.
And evidence tampering.
I think that that's pretty important to note because I went public with this and not one member of Congress, really for the most part, a majority of Republicans weren't even tracking that. But for those that were trying to use this to smear the president, notice how they never made a mention of that.
The people trying to use the Epstein stuff to scare the president, they never made mention of the Biden FBI committing crimes.
As we continued in our investigations, I've gone to every potential meeting with these victims. I sat in the same room where the victims exonerated President.
She went to the meetings with all the victims. She sat with the people that exonerated President Trump.
And said that they simply want access to their files that they had requested from the DOJ under Biden.
And they just want access to the files that they requested the DOJ under Biden. Yeah, this is pretty quiet. Denied access.
Evidence was potentially tampered with and removed by the Biden FBI. And so the victims asked when Biden was president for the files to be released, but he rejected them. But now Democrats in Congress are acting like it was their idea for the files to be released, even though that was the thing President Trump campaigned on. This is kind of a crazy thing that nobody's talking about.
I don't know what to type, so I won't. Okay, we're back to normal volume here. Yeah, that was a very quiet segment. Wall Street Ape says new document. Let's shift gears for a moment. We'll get back to this. New documents obtained by News Nation prove that Gavin Newsom is lying about the Pacific Palisades fire in court. Did they lie about it in court? Lie about all of it in court? These new documents that we've obtained suggest that's absolutely what happened. Gavin Newsom, California, under the spotlight.
Q obtained documents that may show that the state is in fact solely responsible for that fire and possibly for the deaths of the 12 people who died. Last week, our exclusive reporting found that a state representative was present near the burn scar, which had all the embers deep underground of a fire that had not been completely turned out. Well, it eventually turned into the Palisades fire.
And that's what the reports were. They came and put out a fire, but they didn't put it out good enough. And they were supposed to stay, and they didn't stay to watch to see if it flares back up. I don't know what the protocol is, but isn't that the protocol? That absolutely is the protocol.
Apparently, according to our reporting, a state representative was on the scene ordering firefighters around, telling them where they could and could not go. Well, tonight, we not only have confirmation that a state representative was there, but we now know exactly when they arrived and why. News Nation's Rich McHugh joins us now with this exclusive. Rich, tell us what more you've managed to uncover.
Hi, Elizabeth. Well, it's really shocking, and ultimately it comes down to two really big questions. Number one, did state mismanagement ultimately cause the Palisades fire? And did they lie about it in court? Lie about all of it in court? And these new documents that we've obtained suggest that that's absolutely what happened. Now, this all began in the early morning hours of January 1 when an alleged arsonist started the Lockman fire. And we know underground embers reignited 6 days later, starting a second, more devastating fire. That was the Palisades fire. In response to a lawsuit from over 3,000 Palisades residents alleging the state failed to monitor embers from that initial fire, Governor Newsom's office told News Nation, the state didn't start this fire, that was an arsonist, and the state wasn't responsible for responding to or monitoring this fire.
No. We know the state didn't start the fire. That was an arsonist. But that doesn't mean the state is not responsible for responding to and monitoring the fire. You had empty reservoirs, and you're supposed to keep people on scene to watch in case there's a flare-up. That's protocol, and you broke it. And if it's not protocol to keep the reservoirs full, and if it's not protocol to stay on scene when a fire's lit like that to make sure that it's not still simmering on the roots, then it needs to be. And that's still dereliction of duty. That's still malpractice, malfeasance. That's still your responsibility.
Now, a new court file.
It's not your first forest fire, California.
The state goes further and says the Palisades victims cannot allege the state had notice of the Lockman fire because it never had notice. State records show a call at 12:27 a.m. on January 1, but with the rest of the incident report redacted, completely blacked out basically, including their response to that call. But a Los Angeles Fire Department record tells us all the details.
And the LAFD's records show not only did the LAFD notify the state just after midnight, the state sent a park representative at 1:46 in the morning on January 1 and arrived on scene at 4 a.m. on January 1.
Now that Los Angeles Fire Department incident report shows what the state will not, that the Los Angeles Fire Department contacted the state after midnight on January 1 and a state park rep arrived on scene by 4 a.m.
If the state had no responsibility for this land, why are they sending a state park rep? The state is playing hide the ball.
Rich McHugh obtained documents that may show that the state is in fact.
There you go, California in the crosshairs. Gavin is not going to be able to outrun that. I don't think so.
Now the Democrats.
Let's take a listen. Who's this official? Craig Long. Don't follow him either. Let's take a listen to this one.
Democrats are okay with politicians who colluded with Epstein. You can't make this shit up. Play the clip.
Well, they want to give them another headline, which is that they've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. And of course, I don't think.
Yeah, Epstein is colluding to frame Trump during the meeting with the Democrats. But they're framing it as, well, he's a constituent. That's the Virgin Islands. That's who she represents. She's allowed to talk to a constituent. Yeah, they're collaborating is what you call that. Collaborating. Or like Scott Adams says, nobody's going to tell me who I can and can't talk to. And if that person is a bad person, okay, then say they're a bad person. I get what he's saying with that. But that's not just a person. That's Jeffrey Epstein. Raskin looks guilty as sin here, the way he's stuttering.
If there's any rule here against taking phone calls in a hearing. Now, if you want to actually give her the chance to explain what happened, then we would take it to the ethics committee. I still don't see what the charge is. Where is the ethical transgression? Where is the legal transgression? Are you saying anybody on your side of the aisle who had a phone call with Jeffrey Epstein should be censured? Be careful your answer there, because there's a lot more that's about to come out, right? So you should think about what is the principle behind this rush to judgment. I want to close just with this thought, because I know there were a lot of people in the chamber who were here when this happened and a lot who weren't.
He is literally covering up for that DEI congresswoman.
Why not? Follow that. Bizarre defense of colleague texts while they're framing Trump. Alex Jones says, breaking, over 80% of students in Charlotte public schools are illegals, according to a New York teacher. I don't know if that number is accurate. The district had over 30,000 kids absent, over 20% of their entire student body. Oh, so maybe there's the private schools, so 80% of public schools are illegals. Schools are not underfunded and understaffed. They're just full of illegals.
Class typically has 16 students in it. We had 4.
Oh, okay. He's talking about his own personal class. Okay.
District-wide, there are 145,030 students enrolled in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. On Monday, 30,399 were absent, 28,136 unexcused. While CMS doesn't break down the numbers by ethnic origin, Gillespie, a multilingual teacher, did.
Children of parents from Angola, from Vietnam, but the students whose parents come from Latin American countries were the students we were missing. So that was kind of the line, even among the ML students, is that we were missing Hispanic students. Class typically has 16 students in it. We had 4.
District-wide, there are 145,030 students enrolled in Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. On Monday, 30,399 were absent.
That's a ton. How long has this been going on? And the teachers' unions are in on it because the more students that you have, the more funding you get, which means the bigger raises you can get, which means the more Democrats you can fight to put in power, which means the more people who can open up the border to bring more people in, to get more students, to get more money. They're voting for more money. And then they put the teachers' unions together with the Democrats and the media and start going, look, we're all in this together. We're all doing the right thing. We are the good people. No, you're overwhelming the system like Cloward and Piven taught to overthrow the nation. All right, Candace Owens has thoughts.
So let's read.
Let me remind you, sharing a Candace Owens clip is neither an endorsement nor a opposite of an endorsement, an anti-endorsement. Endorse or anti-endorse? Kind of sound like Star Wars planets. Anyway, I want Candace on the case. I want her thinking about it. I want her talking about it. And let's break it down. What do we agree? Where do we disagree? What's real? What's not real?
Recap these facts. On September 10th, an Egyptian government aircraft with a history of flying to France and the United States lands at a small Delaware airport under a French company maintenance pretext that doesn't actually match the hangar timeline because the French visit predates the French company's deal. Within an hour, federal SUVs move from that airport to 920 North King Street. 920 North King Street has been a federal residence office since at least 1997, and today it houses the DEA, the FBI, and the United States Secret Service, all at the same address. The hangar the plane would have used is controlled through a DRBA lease that itself is nested in federal waterways. The FBI also publicly talks about key partners in Wilmington on the same year that the hangar reactivates. I'm going to skip this next portion because he tells me how I can verify this. And like I said, I did that. Once more, go through this logic and ask yourself how the...
By the way, I just said Candace. I'm not explaining to you the context of this. A whistleblower revealed to Candace Owens that the Egyptian plane spotted in Utah on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination is tied to the Secret Service, DEA, DOJ, FBI, and several other agencies. The plane made multiple stops for so-called maintenance, even in places with no Egyptian consulate presence. Owens says that this is the same aircraft she previously claimed had been trailing Erica Kirk.
This makes any sense. On November 13th, 2022, SUBTT flies from Cairo to Paris to Wichita, Kansas, to Wilmington, Delaware, back to Cairo. That is already a 4-leg, 2-continent hop that ends in Wilmington before going home. 4 days later, on November 17th, 2022, it does Egypt to Wilmington, again, departing at 8:54 a.m., and this time it stays in Wilmington until November 20th, and only then returns to Cairo. So that is 2 Wilmington arrivals in the same week. Nobody burns a government Falcon 7X on 2 separate Wilmington runs for no reason. I mean, just look at the choice of St. Louis, Wichita, Omaha, Lincoln, Williston, Minot, and Provo. None of these are standard diplomatic hubs. Most of those don't even have major consulates, and absolutely none of them are known for large-scale Egyptian presence, so that immediately undermines the whole "it's just a maintenance stop" excuse. Ask yourself, why else a state aircraft would hopscotch across America to remote cities if its purpose was just servicing at a defunct Wilmington Assault Center? Wilmington is undeniably a terminal point, and the only logical reason points to 920 North King Street. I could go through all of the dates and do this, but you already mapped the flights, so you already understand exactly what I'm saying. Obviously, I can't tell you how I know this or who I am or exactly who it is that I work for. My motive is simply that I can no longer keep this stuff in my head anymore. I just need somebody with a history of doing the right thing and figuring out the entire truth. I hope you can understand why I cannot verify my employment here. I took a big risk to tell the truth, and my hope is that you will at least check me on it. Analyze and verify the flight patterns. So let's recap these facts. On September 10th, an Egyptian government aircraft with a history of flying to...
I think that was the beginning of it. So who, type in the comments, who did it? Who did it? You got all that we got, okay. We've got all of that information, or the allegations rather, or at least the tips. Whether the tips were true or not, we don't know. What do you think? Who was behind the Charlie Kirk takedown? Egypt? Erica? Other? Something starting with an E? Here's Mike Benz.
It's this relentless obsession with Russia.
And there's music. Why the obsession with Russia? 75 trillion amount of raw assets that Russia sits on in total. Russia is the great untapped world home of natural resources. So just think about what would happen if Russia could be regime changed and a puppet government could be put in place. Say Russia could be turned into a client state, and think about Wall Street, hedge funds, private equity, alternative asset investors in Wall Street in London. Who would profit if only Russia would just belly up and give it $75 trillion worth of natural resources? Yeah, everything else is subservient to that. The Ukraine war will never end because it's not about Ukraine. It's about Eurasia. It's about 75 trillion. It will never end until Boris Yeltsin is resurrected from the grave and put back in charge of Russia, giving away that 75 trillion to the political donor class. New York City, London, all about money in the end. It's all this relentless Russia, this, Russia, that, Ukraine. It's all about wanting what Russia has and won't let us have. Yeah. Well, holy crap. How do we get ourselves out of this mess? Let's go to the next one. Oh, I guess I put it there 2 or 3 times. There we go. So this is Cam Higbee in Dearborn, Michigan.
In Dearborn, I walked up and down Michigan Avenue. There wasn't very many people out.
There's music. Can't play it. But they're protesting in Dearborn. Campaign finance investigation. Democrat U.S. Representative Sheila Cherphillis McCormick charged with stealing $5 million in FEMA funds.
She was back in the district at this event. We tried again.
I also wanted to ask you about the investigation into your families. But this is also part of her congressional duties. Congresswoman, you know, you're under investigation for the congressional ethics for violation.
Wow, that is a bad look, is it not? Wow, her handler. This is a guilty look. You got to kind of answer like you're in the public eye. Answer.
Violation of campaign finances.
Wait, what are the police doing there?
Congresswoman, this is your district. You have to answer to these people. Congresswoman.
Attorneys for her family's healthcare company aren't answering the I-Team's questions either. And the Department of Emergency Management says they won't comment on ongoing litigation, leaving taxpayers and her constituents wondering what happened to those millions. She was back in the district at this event. We tried again.
I also wanted to ask you about the investigation into your families. But this is also part of her.
Yeah, why were the cops protecting that woman from that potential thief from public questions? How many thieves? This is a 6-minute clip, but Candace Owens reads an email from a whistleblower about the Egyptian plane and says, Charlie found something out and it cost his life.
Facts.
It's a 6-minute clip. The other was 3 minutes. I don't want to play the whole thing if we were going to repeat it. Godfather of Chaos says, Candace now believes FBI, Secret Service, DEA could be involved in Charlie Kirk. Anyway, check it out. It's 6.5 minutes. This is Joe Rogan podcast shares this. An anti-gun protester. I urge you to ask yourself. Well, here.
Countless victims brutally slaughtered by AR-15s.
AR-15s.
Think back to the children at Uvalde who couldn't be identified by anything other than their shoes because their bodies were so badly mangled. Do we really want to be a country where children's bodies are being pulled out of schools mangled because we refuse to take any semblance of action to fight? No, we don't want to be that country. Which is why I commend the efforts of the senators and Congresswoman McBath here today. Because while their Republican colleagues are finding new ways to terrorize transgender children in this country, they are actually taking action to make
action.
It safer for kids in the United States of America. I have lived with post-traumatic stress disorder for the last almost 6 years of my life. Next Wednesday will mark 6 years since my shooting happened in Colorado. I was a middle schooler. Being a school shooting survivor robbed me of my adolescence. I didn't get to have normal experiences. I went to 3 high schools because my anxiety was so severe I couldn't sit still in a class. Just in December, I acquired a service dog because my PTSD is still that bad. And yet, I'm lucky because my gunmen weren't armed with an AR-15. I had the time to close my door. But if they had, I don't think it would have turned out the exact same. So that is what makes this bill so critical. When you think about, say, the Second Amendment, I urge you to ask yourself, is a piece of paper that was written by slaveholders more important than the kids whose parents didn't even get to recognize them when they were buried? Is it more important than Jessie Gawi, who had a 6-inch hole ripped through her face? Is it more important than Sandy and Lonnie Phillips, who that's their last memory of their daughter? The answer is a resounding no. And while the Republicans in Congress might try to debate this as a political issue, it's not a political issue. You've heard from me, you've heard from Alea, and you've now heard from Matt about the devastating effects of gun violence on your life when you survive it as a young person. We're hearing AR-15s.
Jesse Kelly, all that was to get to that quote because Jesse Kelly says, in response to, let me just ask, you ask yourself, is a piece of paper that was written by slaveholders more important than kids? It says here, Jesse Kelly, he says, my gun is so important to me that I'll K anyone who tries to take it away because the only reason you'd want to take it from me is because you want to hurt me. And no mentally ill communist white woman can emotionally manipulate me to change that stance. Yeah, sit down, Greta. Sit down, Greta. We got the First Amendment and the Second Amendment if somebody tries to silence us. Okay, that's 19 minutes of Candace. Not going to play it, but it's in our stream for today. Way music. Nick Sorter says, breaking, an Antifa terrorist. An Antifa terrorist has just been found guilty in federal court after he launched an arson attack against the Portland ICE facility in June, per Mr. Andy No. Trenton Edward Baker, who identifies as trans, now faces 20 years in prison. FAFO. The arson attack damaged the facility and in part helped to hold DHS agents hostage inside. Edward Baker. Bravo. Adios, Edward Baker. FO. Find out. Because he messed around, you get it? Finally, some justice for these people. This is that same person that I couldn't play that first clip. Let's see if we can play this one. Jade Warwick.
Is this reminiscent of anything that you've seen in London or in the UK?
Yeah, so I left the UK 10 years ago because I saw this taking over. Unfortunately, I don't believe that Islam is compatible with the West. And as much as they want to assimilate and respect the law of the land, their women are still covered. They still do not have as many rights as Western women. I don't feel safe in these communities if I was walking through there alone. I do feel safe in Poland. The problem is the governments, they don't stand up for the people of the country. So my family were in the UK for generations and we felt abandoned by our government. We felt as if they were protecting the asylum seekers and the migrants over the citizens, the natural born citizens.
Prioritized.
Of the United Kingdom. And as Muslim immigration, Islamic immigration has increased in Europe and the UK, so has the crime rates. So has rapes, murders, molestation of children. It's very dangerous, and unfortunately, their cultures are vastly different to ours. We need to be extremely careful how we tread and integrate Islam into the West, if at all. But personally, I think that it's happening too fast and at such a huge number that we're unable to actually control it. And we should be able to control our countries. These are our countries, first and foremost. Brits founded America. They brought over Western values. They brought the Constitution. The UK doesn't even have the Constitution, unfortunately, at this point. They are governed by the Human Rights Act from the UN, but that does not protect
UN. Never allow the UN to write your laws.
Free speech. So really, the only place in the world.
The UN wants to be the global governing force. And by the way, that's the conversation that we're having about AI, if you're not aware. Are you going to let Democrats seize control of the government at some point down the road, take over AI and make sure that everything is twisted to their woke, weird, backward, false ideology? Or maybe have some nationwide standards so your crazy states can't dominate AI and put out their poison anymore. That's a whole different conversation, but it's all part of the same conversation, and she's sort of referencing it here. The UN doesn't make laws for the United States, and it should never be that way. The Democrats are all about it because then it's like, well, we can't do anything. The UN said, who the hell's the UN? They're not my dad. Tell me where I'm supposed to listen to the UN. I don't give a shit what the UN says. That's about you, not me.
That Christians are protected and your free speech is protected is America. And that's why I say God bless the Constitution and God bless America. This is the best country in the world.
David, I notice your YouTube channel's different. What happened? It now says your name in 7961. What's that all about? What's that all about? What's that about? David asks, why hasn't Antifa been taken down yet? They are a terrorist organization. Exactly. But they're working on it, allegedly. So here we go. Can't play the music, even though I want to. Eric Daughtry says, breaking. There are now 3 congressional Democrats. Oh, 3 congressional Democrats now. Wow. 3 congressional Democrats under current federal indictment. LaMonica McIver, New Jersey, for assaulting a federal agent during an ICE performance. Sheila Cherfilas McCormick, Florida, stealing $5 million from FEMA for her campaign. Henry Cuellar, Texas, bribery. If Democrats controlled the House and the parties were reversed, all 3 would be on 0 committees, censured, and likely even expelled by now. Why is at Mike Johnson? Can I tag him? Well, I can tag Speaker Mike Johnson. And at Donald Trump. Allowing these 3 to hang around. By the Democrat standards, all 3 will be censored and compartmentalized for our protection by now. There you go. I tagged Speaker Mike Johnson. Paratrooper says there should be a lot more than 3. Eric says a lot more than 0 should be expelled. McIver should have been out a long time ago. I Love America News. That's just scratching the surface of Democrat fraud. Exactly. CBS 2 is going to investigate. All right, we're talking about Charlie Kirk. What's going on with the alleged, and we're saying alleged shooter, the alleged person, the alleged perpetrator? We don't know. Where's the volume? I didn't turn it down. Here we go.
Batista is a Rule 8 attorney, qualifications only select number of defense attorneys in Utah have in order to defend cases with a capital offense, some involving a possible death penalty. He's not affiliated with the case involving Tyler Robinson, who's accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk back in September. I showed him what I found that could indicate there's potential missing evidence in the case.
He said, hey, I know who Charlie Kirk's shooter is.
On September 17th, 2025, Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby held a press conference.
Our job was not to interview. Our job was just to get him here.
After Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter was taken into custody in Washington County less than 2 days after the shooting.
Within the hour, my friend drove Tyler and his parents to my office, where he was greeted by plainclothes detectives.
After learning of this, I submitted a public records request to obtain any video of Tyler Robinson walking into the jail facility. Washington County responded saying there were no records responsive to the request, as Robinson did not go to the jail area. Our request for any holding room video was denied. A few weeks later, I re-upped the request on a more generalized scale for surveillance video showing Tyler Robinson walking into the sheriff's office.
For the state of Utah, we would certainly hope that this video is available.
The response? Our office does not have any applicable records responsive to this request, as the surveillance footage is no longer available after the 30-day retention period.
If in fact it has been destroyed and not preserved, it's very concerning. And if it has, then it's very concerning that they're telling you they don't have it. If they no longer have it, I would have expected to say that this video has been provided to the Utah County law enforcement. Please contact them.
What do you do with that? So what do we make of this latest revelation? What do we make of it? Where's that video of Tyler Robinson turning himself in? Oh, there is none. Oh, really? Comments. Everything about the Kirk situation and the Trump attempt is bizarre. Kashmir Patel needs to resign. Well, Smitty says it sounds odd. I mean, what? There's no cameras at the police station? You kidding me? Skylar says because it's not the guy. Kenneth, can you see this on the comments? No, let me get a full screen. There's Troy McClure stepping into frame saying, case closed. Well, hearsay and conjecture, those are types of evidence. Denied. All right, so the more we learn, the less makes sense. I want to ask about this. End Wokeness is saying mass deportation would be a 95% to 5% issue if people realize the impact. I'm going to ask Grok about this graphic. There's a Charlotte traffic graphic going around showing that since ICE came to Charlotte, traffic is massively down. Is it true or false? And please show me the accurate graph. Let's see how AI can move fast. How Grok specifically can move fast here. Okay, let's see. False as a causal claim. Screenshots being shared are misleading or cherry-picked. Let's see, lighter traffic on those mornings. No actual time series graph or data. Actual traffic. Charlotte remains one of the more congested mid-sized U.S. cities. No credible source reported any measurable citywide improvement in November 25 tied to immigration enforcement. Massively down is a viral exaggeration meme based on a one-off fear-induced slowdown, not evidence of real sustained improvement from ICE operation. There's no accurate graph. Okay, so what graph shows the traffic decrease accurately then? They're not giving me a graphic, but I'm trying. So I would say proceed with caution. TLDR answer to this graph accuracy so I can post it on IG as a comment. Yeah, all right. I'm going to post this per Grok. Let me put this on the IG right here. Per Grok. Because it's my job to inform when I can. But they're saying at the bottom, illegals are voting, receiving benefits, influencing electoral college votes, changing House apportionment numbers, making things more expensive for Americans. Anyone that claims they are not is lying. Well, some of that's verifiable. Some of it may not be. All right. Thomas Massey.
Decades. That is wrong. Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. And if you're a party to that in the Senate, you are part of this cover-up that we are trying to expose. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island. That is what they have coming. In fact, they need to be on the other side of bars, a lot of them. Some of them will be embarrassed, but some of them need to go to prison, and the survivors know that. So how will we know if this bill has been successful? We will know when there are men, rich men, in handcuffs being perp-walked to the jail. And until then, this is still a cover-up. Decades. That is wrong. Do not.
So things are happening. What is this here from the Scoop?
Islam is a culture with patina of religion.
Representative Keith Self on Sharia.
Sharia is the law of Islam. Sharia is dangerous. Western values form the basis for the founding of America, namely that rights come from our Creator. Ours is a Christian-based culture. Sharia, on the other hand, is a culture of violence and domination, totally anathema to the concept of individual freedom. The United States Constitution and Sharia are fundamentally at odds with one another. The Constitution begins with "we the people." Sharia states Allah has said. Followers of Sharia believe Muhammad received a divine legal code that stands supreme over all man-made laws. While Western civilization has evolved, Islam has not. Islam is stuck in the 8th century, and if they succeed at imposing their beliefs upon us, we will be dragged back into the Dark Ages. The contrasts are stark when comparing Sharia to the strides made by the United States. Islam is a culture with patina of religion.
Second part.
States in 250 years. The 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution abolished slavery, but there has never been an abolition movement in Islam. The Quran and Hadith even contain rules for slaves and the slave trade. Sharia prescribes inhumane punishments viewed as normative. Stoning to death for adultery is common, as are public beatings of women, the amputation of the hand of a thief, and execution of Christians and Jews in accordance with the Quran. Several hardline clerics have even issued fatwas for the assassination of President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. The Declaration of Independence states, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." Not so in Islam. According to Sharia, the testimony of a non-Muslim is not valid against a Muslim in a court of law. A woman's testimony is equal to 1/2 of that of a man. Non-Muslims living in majority Islamic societies are second-class citizens with few rights in 250 years.
Third part.
The 13th rights and little protection under the law. The 6th Amendment speaks of an impartial jury, but the testimony of a non-Muslim is deemed inadmissible. So in an Islamic Sharia court, the only testimony allowed is that of a Muslim, hardly fair and impartial. Sharia prohibits marriage between a Muslim woman and a non-Muslim man. A Muslim man may marry a Christian wife, but not vice versa. Sharia also gives the man, but not the woman, the unconditional right to divorce. Freedom of religion is in our First Amendment, but freedom of religion in Sharia means one is permitted to embrace Islam, but one is never free to leave Islam. Abandoning Sharia is an apostasy punishable by death. Freedom of speech in America extends to expression not only of verbal communication, but in art, writing, the media, and action. Certain forms of expression are forbidden by Sharia. Non-Muslims and moderate Muslims who openly criticize Islam, Muhammad, or the Quran rights and little protection under the law.
Next part.
The 6th face severe punishment. Remember Salman Rushdie, who was stabbed under a fatwa just for writing about Muhammad. America was founded on a basic concept of freedom of the individual, self-governing under the rule of law. John Adams said our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. We are witnessing the reality of Adams' wisdom in the clash of cultures as outsiders stream into our country without assimilating. A prominent Muslim attorney argued in the U.S. court, Islam is Sharia, Sharia is Islam, the two cannot be separated. There are acceptable actions in Sharia that are illegal in America. Murder of family members who dishonor the family, child marriage, spouse abuse, to name only a few. Our legal processes, developed through centuries of Western civilization, are not sufficient to confront the Sharia influence spreading across America. Face severe punishment. Remember Salman Rushdie. Even legislation may not stop the encroaching danger. It will take more. In the streets of New York City, a Muslim imam recently proclaimed, "We will not stop until Islam enters every home." There is no denying Islam's intent to dominate Western civilization. Their stated objective is to destroy us from within. All who serve in this Congress swore to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. This is a time for choosing. Either we defeat the Sharia advances in America, or government of the people, by the people, and for the people may indeed perish from the earth. I yield back. Even legislation may not stop the encroaching danger. It will take more. In the streets of New York City.
All right. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree with the general gist of what that gentleman had to say? There's a lot of valid concerns, or are they invalid concerns? Do you agree or disagree with that guy? Checking over here, let's see what the Supreme Court's up to.
We have a Fox News alert. The Supreme Court just cleared the way for Trump to deport illegals even faster. The High Court ruled that Trump can use the Alien Enemies Act to send Venezuelan gangbangers to a mega prison in El Salvador. This is a huge ruling in Trump's favor and a major win for the country. After, as you know, D.C. Judge James Boasberg ordered a stop to the deportations. So this is pretty significant. These deportations, Caroline, can keep going.
This is a massive legal victory, Jesse, a massive victory for law and order and for our constitutional republic and the sovereignty of the United States of America. We called on the Supreme Court to rein in these activist judges like Judge Boasberg, who was completely out of line in trying to say that the president didn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists off of our soil. We have always maintained the position at the White House that the president was well within his constitutional authority to do so. And this decision proves that President Trump and our administration have always been right from the beginning. He will continue to utilize the Alien Enemies Act to remove foreign terrorists and Tren de Aragua members, vicious gang members from American communities. And because of this ruling, the United States of America is a much safer place. Our team will get to work tomorrow to deport these heinous, violent foreign terrorists from our neighborhoods.
And you had another couple critical wins in the court with regard to Doge. Tell us about those. That seems to be making progress.
Yes, absolutely. There have been many wins that the mainstream media has failed to cover, particularly over the weekend. The Supreme Court also ruled that the president does, in fact, have the authority over federal funding, that he can dictate what funds can go out the door and what can't, so long as they are part of the executive branch. So we have always, again, maintained that every executive order the president has signed, every executive action that he has taken has been well within his executive authority. And Doge is doing a tremendous job at cutting back at the waste and the fraud and the abuse that have been ripping off American taxpayers, that have not been aligned with our interests here in our country. So we're going to continue the president's agenda. Again, he's well within his constitutional authority, and it's great to see the Supreme Court reining in these activist judges who are wearing robes but are acting as judicial activists, not as real judges and real arbiters of the law.
All right. Lawyers wrong. I can't believe a lawyer would ever be wrong. It just amazes me. They think they're always right. I guess not this time. Sorry, Boasberg. We love you, but we're sorry. Caroline, thank you. Now we have a Fox News alert. The Supreme Court just...
All right, well. There's gonna be so much winning. We're gonna get tired of winning. Button. All right, well, that's a big important thing. More Candace, what does it say? I want to know why the decision was made to M Charlie Kirk, a decision that very clearly had to be approved by Charlie's friends, she says. These are all long clips. I can't play them, but conversations out there. All right, so what is this? Nick Matau, don't know this guy, but it seemed like an interesting conversation. A Muslim woman asked me to prove Muhammad was and says it was okay in the Game of Thrones. Here we go.
Did you read like all of the Quran? Did you read the Torah? Did you read the Bible? Because you know everything is very similar.
I've read the Quran twice. I read over 20,000 hadiths. I've read the Tanakh. I've read both the New International Version and the King James Version Bible. That being said, let me ask you, have you read all of them?
I haven't read the full Quran. I'm half Lebanese and I'm half white.
Have you read the Tanakh?
No, never.
Have you read the Christian Bible?
I have not read a full Bible, but I've done a lot of research
okay, great,
and
great.
everything.
Great.
I've read laws of Islam. I've read a lot of the Bible. I went to church.
That's great.
I went to the
That's
mosque. I've
okay.
done all of
Okay,
that.
I'm not asking for a monologue. So my question for you, now that you've admitted that you haven't read any of them in full, how do you know they're very similar?
Because I've done my research.
Your research didn't include reading the actual sources?
I did my research, but I didn't read any of the books.
I'm not a big reader. I'm more of a person that does research on my own.
But research requires to read. Did you ever think to read
source document?
The actual source to see if they're similar?
I'm asking you. You're a Jewish person. We're supposed to be brothers and sisters here.
I'm not Jewish. I don't know why you assumed I was Jewish. That being said, if you asked me, the Quran was never sent down. Muhammad was not. He's a false prophet. He's not real. He was a warlord, pedophile, who just said that he got revelations from God. If you ask a Muslim, they'll say it's because the Tanakh and the Christian Bible were corrupted.
What would make you think that he is a pedophile?
He married a 6-year-old.
She was 13.
She was not. She was 6. It says it in Sahih al-Bukhari. So just so you know, even if she was 13 and he was 51 to 54, that's not better, Brandy. I don't know why you thought that was a good answer. No, stop.
Have you guys ever watched Game of Thrones or like?
Have I ever seen Game of Thrones? I have seen Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is fiction, just like Islam. However, the difference is that nobody watches Game of Thrones and says, I think Jaime Lannister, who has relations with his sister, no one's saying that is the most perfect man to ever exist and ever will exist. Nobody goes and worships that man. Nobody goes and has an entire religion around that man. We watch it because it's an entertainment.
Nobody K's in the name of that man.
So if you're going to compare Islam to Game of Thrones, the only thing you're getting right is that they're both fiction.
You read like all of the Quran.
That lady, though, that didn't read any of the source documents and claims to be super educated because she does her own research. That's kind of what we're dealing with. Let's get a taste of this one. Kathy Rumler's connection to Epstein. Here you go. Former White House counsel to President Barack Obama. And this person, Rick Delgado, reporting on this and the connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
The other breaking news has to do with more Epstein stuff. Do you want to just jump into it? I've got a couple things we can talk about. Okay, because again, last night we talked about this as they tried to link this Epstein stuff to Trump. The boomerang effect is going to be glorious because we've already seen, like I said, the drip started with Stacey Plaskett. It then went to Larry Summers over at Harvard.
To Jeffries.
Right. And then Hakeem Jeffries. Tonight there's another person who's been exposed that I'll jump into as well. Her name, you may know it, you may not. She's kind of an interesting character in this whole thing. Her name is Kathleen Rumler. Have you heard of this name? Days after her name appeared in a tranche of newly released Jeffrey Epstein emails, Goldman Sachs general counsel, I should say, Kathleen Rumler, sent a company-wide message to her own employees that many found tone deaf. Check this out. She wrote that what and how you communicate reflects on you and the reputation of the firm in a Tuesday memo reminding staffers to complete mandatory training, including a module on communications at Goldman Sachs. The message was not well received by employees, Damon, who are disturbed that the firm has yet to even acknowledge that their top legal officer has questionable judgment when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein. The fact that they put her name on this in last week's email, one insider said, is beyond offensive. Sources also said many employees have left Rumler's team over the last few months frustrated as the perception of the ongoing scandal is being swept under the rug. And that was included in a September report in the Wall Street Journal claimed she was close to Epstein and once even named an executor of his estate. Now, why is her name important? Well,
okay. Executor of the estate is a very big deal.
Kathleen Rumner has an interesting backstory there, Damon. Who is she? Well, she has an interesting previous boss known as President Barack Hussein Obama. She was his lead counsel in the White House between the years of 2011 and 2014, and it was this email exchange that just got recently exposed in 2014, in October of 2014, no, in September of 2014, with Jeffrey Epstein about her boss, about some parties, about some stuff that's going on. There's a copy of the email. You know, the people that are involved, again, you're starting to see this boomerang effect, and you're looking for a bigger name, somebody who's attached to President Barack Hussein Obama during that time. She left his office about a month after this latest email that you see up on your screen, a direct back and forth with Jeffrey Epstein talking about girls. He talks about his old habits. He talks about some very powerful people that he's going to be invited to hang out with. If she wants to join them. He's talking about Peter Thiel, Bill Gates, ex-CIA Director William Burns, ex-UK Prime Minister Gordon Brown, sultan from one of the sultans from Dubai, just to name a few. And then in 2023, we learned Jeffrey Epstein was involved in establishing a client relationship between former White House counsel Kathleen Rumner and J.P. Morgan Chase in February of 2019, just 4 months before he was arrested on federal child sex trafficking charges. So you can see this is starting to boomerang all around different parts of the Democratic world, including Goldman Sachs. So again, they're a little embarrassed that they have this woman as their lead counsel. Now, the other part of this story, the other breaking news, comes from Larry Summers. This I was going to cover a little bit later, but let's just jump into it. Here's Larry Summers. We talked about this last night. He was going to stay on. He was stepping away from a bunch of things, but stay on at Harvard and teach his classes. Here he is, cut number 3, talking to his class.
I played this yesterday. This is going to get very interesting. Yeah, we do need to pray for the protection of the good guys here. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we ask that your angels come down and watch over the good guys and girls who are going after the demons, who have been thriving off of the misery, pain and suffering and abuse of humans. Give them superpowers, give them extra protection, give them alert, give them warning, give them skills, give them help from random angels around to battle what's about to happen here. In your name we pray, amen. How about that?
Earlier today about staying on and what they may have seen in the news, cut 3.
Some of you will have seen my statement of regret, expressing my shame with respect to what I did in communication with Mr. Epstein, and that I've said that I'm going to step back from public activities for a time, but I think it's very important to fulfill my teaching obligations. And so, with your permission, we're going to go forward and talk about the material in the class.
Yeah, he's going to talk about the material to himself, because now it just came out 15 minutes ago. Larry Summers is going to leave Harvard University as they investigate the ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
He gone.
He announced it Wednesday night, tonight, that he's going to step away from his teaching duties while the school investigates his ties to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. I'm sure they'll do a thorough investigation as to why Jeffrey Epstein actually had an office at Harvard as well, but I'm sure they'll get around to that. Summers, the former Treasury Secretary and ex-president of Harvard, also plans to go on leave from the Center of Business and Government over at Harvard, at the Harvard Kennedy School, and is also stepping down from many boards he was attached to. So a lot of boomerang still going on, and more coming out from Epstein.
More coming out from Epstein. Bravo. Happy to have it happening. Very happy to have it happening. All these connections. Kathy Rumler. There's going to be a lot of new names we're going to have to learn. All right. Let's go to our X feed at American_media_. You can subscribe here. Please do. Please follow us. We need to grow this account a little bit. We're going to try to maybe start raking the leaves, clearing out the brush on this account. I want to try to boost this a little bit. And here's our Patreon link right here. Our interview with John B. Wells talking God, Trump, Biden, Deep State, and World War III. You can sign up to be a monthly subscriber. So we definitely appreciate that. They take very modest fees, is my understanding. I'm gonna have to sit down and really look at it because I don't understand the fee structure entirely. Actually, let me just ask Grok here. Let's do a new chat. What percentage in fees does Patreon take? Compare that to the percentage of Rumble subscribers and Rumble rants versus YouTube subscription and super chat. TLDR summary. Let's see what Grok has to say. Grokking around the Christmas tree. Okay, so the payment processing is 2.9% plus 30 cents a transaction, or higher for small micropayments. Effective total fees are often 12 to 15%. Rumble subscriptions. Oh, exact cut not publicly detailed in 2025. Historically very creator friendly. Often 100% or near it during launches. I don't know what that means. Premium content ties into platform wide, so 70 to 100%. Oh, geez, 0% was the promo in 23. Rumble rants, creator keeps 80%. YouTube memberships, creator keeps 70. Super chats, creator keeps 70. Or half. Anyway, it's all a little. But yeah, I think Patreon, if the tips ain't going to come in through Venmo or Cash App or PayPal, which are all at the bottom of the screen, I think Patreon is the biggest bang for the buck. So I think what I love are the memberships because it's set it and forget it, and that's awesome, and it helps build a base. Love the memberships on Rumble, YouTube, and Patreon. Love them. Also, what was I going to say? I love the memberships. Those are great to build upon. But yeah, the best ways are Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal direct. Second best is probably Patreon. So I think the thing for Rumble rants and Super Chats to do the 99-cent ones. Because if they're going to take half of it or 30% of it or 55, 45, I think I was reading they take 45%. So that's good for quick bursts, and it reminds everyone that passes the collection jar, the tip jar. Anyway, that's the inside baseball. The best thing I would recommend are the memberships. Second is probably the direct is first, and then the Patreon, the memberships. And then for Rumble rants and Super Chats, I've probably 99-cent Rumble rants and Super Chats, and then still keep the tips in the direct form on the Venmo or Cash App. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm learning as I go, and I just pulled it up on Grok, so I wanted to tell you since we hit our Patreon here on American_media_. Make sure you're following us. That was our video, Gassed in DC. I need to put J6, Gassed in DC. I should change the title of that video. All right, here's a bit of a weird story. Have you heard this one? Kash Patel announced one of the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives. Well, let him tell you.
You do not get to be a drug kingpin and evade the law. Make no mistake about it. Ryan Wedding is a modern-day iteration of Pablo Escobar. He's a modern-day iteration of El Chapo Guzman. This Justice Department and this FBI will work with our Canadian counterparts and the government officials across the world to bring him to justice. He is responsible for engineering a narco-trafficking and narco-terrorism program that we have not seen in a long time. He will not evade justice. We are here today because this Department of Justice, behind Attorney General's brilliant leadership and the Deputy Attorney General, have made it clear to the American people with the indictments they have brought that law enforcement and agencies like this FBI will lead the effort to go out there and make sure these animals are brought to justice. And that's exactly what we will do. This step, this interagency step, is a huge, huge step towards obtaining justice for so many American lives lost and so many American lives saved, thanks to the courageous efforts of law enforcement. This is what a great team looks like, working together for the American people under the motto that President Trump set forth to make America safe again. It's incredibly humbling for this FBI to be a part of it and to lead out the efforts on Ryan Wedding. And for those of you out there that have any information on Ryan Wedding, now is the time to speak up. Now is the time to help us. This FBI has always engaged the public around the world for their assistance in bringing some of the world's most dangerous criminals and terrorists to justice. And we are doing so again today. He will not evade justice. He will not evade our capture. He will not evade arrest, and he will not evade prosecution. Because of the Attorney General's leadership here today, we are taking a huge, huge step in that direction. And I'm honored to be a part of this FBI.
Okay, we got it. I want to get the background of what Ryan Wedding. Let me type this in because the story's weird. Let's see if we can get a Canadian-born 1981, represented Canada as a snowboarder in the men's parallel giant slalom in the O2 Salt Lake City Winter Olympics, finishing 24th with no medal. He retired from competition and allegedly pivoted to crime. Left university, flipped real estate funded by large-scale marijuana grows, one raided in 2006 without charges, and eventually built a massive cocaine trafficking network. By 2010 to 2020, U.S. authorities say he became a high-level operator allied with the Sinaloa cartel, smuggling tens of thousands of kilos of coke annually from Colombia through Mexico into the U.S. and Canada via semi-trucks, a $1 billion-plus operation. He's accused of extreme violence to protect it, including ordering multiple M's, a mistaken hit on an innocent couple in Ontario, oh God, over a stolen drug shipment, another K in Canada in 24, and most recently charged in a November 25 indictment, orchestrating the January 25 takedown of a cooperating witness in Medellin, Colombia, tracked via photos posted on a Canadian Dirty News site. Wild. This is an Olympian. Ryan Wedding, Canadian. Fugitive in Mexico for years, using aliases like El Jefe and Giant and Public Enemy. Added to the FBI top 10 wanted list in March of 25. U.S. raised the reward to capture to $15 million. Unsealed new witness tampering charges and M charges, and arrested 10 associates, including a Canadian lawyer and others. They call him a modern-day Pablo Escobar who remains at large. Okay, that's what I was hoping he was going to say right there. Cash needs to tell you the story. That's a wild story, is it not? Super weird. Thank you, Kenneth. I'm going to go eat some General Tso's chicken now. If you're ordering General Tso's, you clinked a couple of ducats into the tip jar. General Tso's chicken, please. It's interesting, Marion. Your screen name is changing to add numbers 839. John is 863. Your screen names are changing. Narco Polo. Ooh, that's a good joke. Narco Polo. That's a good punchline. That's a good phrase to use. Jot that one down on the side. Make that an evergreen drop. All right. Steve Milroy is saying, I'm all for restarting the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant, but why do taxpayers have to finance a nickel of it when Microsoft, who's worth $36 trillion, could do it out of petty cash? Rather than needlessly ponying up taxpayer money, the Trump admin should instead be fixing the junk science behind radiation safety standards. executive order. Okay, so Trump officials give a $1 billion loan to restart the 3 Mile Island. Did you hear about this? This is about energy. Energy. Dave says, here you go. 3 Mile Island nuclear plant will reopen to power Microsoft data centers and more. 3 Mile Island is so safe, it's being reactivated for AI. We've had a horrific nuclear smear campaign for a long time. Maybe that stuff's all about to end. Good having you, David. Thank you very much. Say hello to the kiddos. Lulu Cheng Mes-Servi says the nuclear fear-mongering would have the nuclear fear-mongering would have us forget that the 3 Mile Island accident caused 0 Ds, 0 injuries, and no known health effects. And they called it the site of the worst nuclear accident in U.S. history. So is it just to power Microsoft, or is it for Microsoft Plus? Pennsylvanians thought they closed it for good in 2019 amid financial strain, coming back online in 28 under the agreement, according to the plant owner Constellation Energy. Kind of interesting. We need more 3rd generation nuclear, right? I think it's 3rd generation. Let's see. Isaiah Taylor says U.S. nuclear growth froze after 3 Mile Island. Where is it at? That's right there. The second red line, it just did almost nothing. Just a little couple of upticks. That was from the 60s. I'm sorry, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. And then it just stopped. It says the event caused 0 Ds or injuries and no adverse health effects to the population, according to 13 independent studies. The real tragedy of 3 Mile Island is the media overreaction, which Cade in industry. Cade means a word I can't say without YouTube flagging it, so I try to reduce the times I say it. And they're finally fixing it. That sounds pretty good. Constellation Energy, according to Brian Sullivan, just got a $1 billion loan from the U.S. Department of Energy to restart 3 Mile Island, now rebranded with a new name. I think that's a good thing. Trump admin to turn on 3 Mile Island reactor. No, not that one. Okay, let's play you this video and then the ensuing. So apparently Enoch Burke, how do you pronounce Gardei? Gardei? Giardai? How pronounce Giurdia? Did I spell it wrong? Do I have to copy it and paste it? Gardai. I would have sorted this out in pre-production. Gardie? 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 Official name for the police in the Republic of Ireland? Gardaí. 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 Anyway, they arrive at the Enoch Burke home a second time to arrest this teacher.
Enoch is entitled to his religious belief. Okay. And it's really shameful that you're here. You know, he has a constitutional right. We all have to profess and practice our belief. And that's being denied my son. And that's why you're here, really.
We're here under the instructions of the High Court. That's why we're here, because there's an order of commitment for Enoch. That's the reason.
From
the High Court, from a judge, Chief Justice.
Look at the shame on these faces. They can't even look him in the eye. I'll let this go, and I'll try to give you the quick recap of who this guy is and why he's being bothered.
That's basically who's informed us that there's an order of commitment, so that's why we're here.
Yeah, a judge that refuses to honor our Constitution.
Okay.
Yeah, and that refuses to acknowledge the core issue that my son was commanded to call a boy a girl. He was commanded. That's where this is the.
Look at they can't even look him in the eye. This guy just look at him. He's feeling the shame that he should. This old man's son was commanded that you must call a boy a girl. And he ain't doing it. We're not doing it. We're not going to participate in your lies. We're not doing it. No excessive malevolence needed. You can do you, and you can have your ideas about what you want to do. That's up to you. But we, like Dave Chappelle said, to what degree is my level of participation required? You can't command me to do anything I don't want to do. And that's the gist of what was happening up in Canada with Jordan Peterson.
The root of this matter, to use a they pronoun for a boy, which as a Christian he wouldn't do, couldn't do. He has a Christian belief. That judge refuses to acknowledge what it's about. This is going on now for 3 years, and we're back again now to the same thing. A refusal to acknowledge that he was commanded to do something that was against his religious belief, and that's really all.
Well, it's something against reality. It's not about religious belief. It's just, you cannot hand me an orange and say, call this an apple. I'm not doing it.
That is the situation. That's what it's about.
Do you know where he is?
That's all I have to say about it. He is entitled to his Christian belief. He's entitled to his constitutional right, and that's fair, and that should be for everybody.
Okay, I'm just asking a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you know where he is, could you let us know? Or
I've said all I'm going to say to you.
Okay. Thanks very much. Good night.
4 of you there.
4 men now.
No crime to deal with, no castle bond.
No crime.
No drugs or anything like that. No to do with.
Our country is a very sad state.
This is private property now, you're on. Just want to remind the 4 of you there. You have to guard the van there as well.
Big guard the van now, 4 men.
Four guard the here.
And our streets
late at night.
Yes.
Yeah. All because Enoch Burke wouldn't call a boy a girl.
This is our Gardaí now, and the streets are full of drugs and crime.
That's what they said. Gardaí. Let me hear that.
And our streets
late at night.
Yes.
Yeah. All because Enoch Burke wouldn't call a boy a girl.
This is our Gardaí now, and the streets are full of drugs and crime, and yet we have 4 Gardaí out here tonight, and our country and the trouble that it's in to arrest an innocent man.
People being assaulted.
An innocent man.
Yep. This is what we have now. Transgenderism. Yep. Coming in late at night.
Coming in now in the dark of the night. Coming in now in the dark of the night to arrest an innocent man. Because he won't call a boy a girl. That's where we're at now in this country.
So that's what's happening with Enoch Burke. They're saying he's not being harassed in the sense of random persecution. An Irish teacher repeatedly jailed over 500 days now faces re-imprisonment solely for contempt of court because he keeps defying permanent court orders barring him from trespassing at Wilson's Hospital School after he was lawfully dismissed. 22. He refused a school directive to address a student by a different name and call him by multiple person pronouns. Publicly confronted the principal, led to suspension, paid leave, disciplinary process, dismissal for gross misconduct. School got a permanent high court injunction. He ignored it for 3 years, showing up almost daily, disrupting the school, forcing them to hire security. Court stressed repeatedly he's not jailed for his views. Oh, he just can't earn a living? He's allowed to be discriminated against? You want to try to claim that this is in the efforts of discrimination? Well, why are you taking this man's job away? Why are you discriminating against him? Because he's not going to say the sun is the moon and the moon is the sun. You simply don't get to become something that you're not. A carrot isn't a potato. They're just what they are. So you're not allowed to earn a living. You can't stay in your chosen profession. Judge ordered him imprisoned again on the 20th of November. Hasn't been located. He vanished from the school after the ruling. I'm going to argue with Grok. He should be allowed to keep his job. So yes, this is harassment. He wasn't fired for his beliefs alone. Yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, that's a story we've been sort of following from afar. But that led to a series of posts in response. Surf Dog says the speech police, literally unbelievable. Non Nobis, can you see this? Here, let me switch to that. Non Nobis says these police are helping to destroy their own country. That ain't good. RZ says, first we overlook evil, then we permit evil, then we legalize evil, then we promote evil, then we celebrate evil, then we persecute those who still call it evil. This poster said, I was just following orders. With a picture of a Gardaí and a Nazi. Red Baron says that's extremely authoritarian and extremely dystopian, not to mention extremely low IQ and completely devoid of any science or logic. Those Gardaí and the politicians that protect them are scum. Free speech is also freedom from compelled speech. If free speech is a threat to your government, then your government is a threat to your country. Pretty straightforward. Yes, the son is the daughter. Duke says transgenderism is the only mental illness demanding that the rest of society adopt the patient's delusion as part of the patient's treatment. I don't know if this is an accurate quote. It says Dr. Paul McHugh, Distinguished Service Professor of Psychiatry, Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. Let's ask Grok. Define gender dysphoria per DSM book. Clinically significant distress or impairment caused by marked incongruence between one's experienced or expressed gender and their assigned, why are they saying assigned gender at birth? Their biological sex. Come on, Grok. Not assigned gender at birth. See, that's ridiculous. That's like you could be assigned an assignment, and it's like, well, that's not a good assignment. I want something else. You don't get anything else. You get what you are. DSM-5. It says assigned gender and not assigned sex. Okay. Give me the DSM-4 definition then. Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. That's what I studied in psychology. between 94 and 2000 used the same criteria. What was the TLDR definition? Impairment caused a marked incongruence between the gender of a person and the gender they were assigned at birth. They still saying assigned at birth in the DSM-3? DSM-3 definition. From 80 to 87, transsexualism. Discomfort about anatomic sex. Yeah, see, gender isn't anywhere in here. Well, I guess, yeah, there was no diagnosis called gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder. It's called transsexualism. Trans. Anyway, it's just interesting how they define it and change it. Private law says if a man wants to pretend he's a let me try this again. If a man wants to pretend that he's a woman, that's up to him. But if he wants us to pretend he's a woman, that's up to us. No words needed. Put some clown faces on these people. Private law says, dear trans community, don't tell me I have to accept you for who you are when you couldn't accept yourself for who you were. I mean, that's a salient point right there. Yeah, look at their faces of shame. Muppet Squad are back. These are all comments here, and they said, anarcho-tyranny. We refuse to control real criminals. That's the anarchy. We control the innocent. That's the tyranny. Anyway, what say you about this? If the guy keeps trespassing, that's probably a problem. But the fact that his job was stolen is a problem too. All right, Watcher Guru says, Elon says AI and humanoid robots will eliminate poverty and make everyone wealthy. Oh.
But AI and humanoid robots will actually eliminate poverty. And Tesla won't be the only one that makes them. I think Tesla will pioneer this, but there will be many other companies that make humanoid robots. But there is only basically one way to make everyone wealthy, and that is AI and robotics.
And we can't talk about robotics without AI.
But AI and humanoid robots will actually eliminate poverty. And Tesla won't be the only one that makes them. I think Tesla will pioneer this, but there will be many other companies that make humanoid robots.
The robots are coming, people. Elon says the most likely outcome is that AI and robots make everyone wealthy. In fact, far wealthier than the richest person on earth. By this, I mean that people will have access to everything, from medical care that is superhuman to games that are... I think we're underappreciating the robot doctor thing. Does the trans community trust AMCO for all your transmission needs? Trans on a mission. So Elon says people will gain access to medical care that's superhuman, games that are far more fun than exist today. Uh-oh. Well, you know what that means. You know what games people are going to want to play with a humanoid robot? It's not complicated. You know what they're going to want to do. We do need to make sure that AI cares deeply about truth and beauty for this to be the probable future. There you go, Sheila Phyllis McCormick, Democrat, Florida, indicted for allegedly stealing and laundering $5 million in FEMA funds, facing 53 years in prison if convicted. Stealing from FEMA? You might as well steal from a church collection plate, you creep. If true. Elon says, I would like to thank President Trump for all he has done for America and the world. I mean, Elon definitely has access to the world through Trump, that's for sure. And they seem to be becoming buddy-buddy again. At least kind of, sort of. So here you go, Jack Posobiec. Trump calls for Democrats who told military to violate their orders to be arrested as seditious traitors. Donald Trump says it's called seditious behavior. Let me go full screen here. President Trump says it's called seditious behavior at the highest level. Each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. We won't have a country anymore. An example must be set. President Donald J. Trump. Today, 9:08 a.m. Comments. I voted for this. An example must be set. Lock them up.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander. Representative.
I can't play you the clip of these representatives saying that because they got goofy music underneath, but it's happening. President Trump said seditious behavior punishable by D. He followed up that first post with this one. We said sedition, treason, conspiracy. This long-running play is coming to a close. Please, oh, please. Please, oh, please. Eric Daughtry says a furious President Trump demands the arrest of Democrat senators and reps who called for the insurrection and sedition by the troops and intelligence community officials. Slotkin, Mark Kelly, Jason Crow, Chris Deluzio, Maggie Goodlander, Chrissy Houlihan. They're all on the clock. Trump just reposted this, says Gavin Newsom. It's a call to hang Democrat lawmakers who spoke out against Trump. Donald Trump retruth, hang them George Washington would. And we replied to Gavin Newsom, wrong, Mr. American Psycho. There are penalties for treason. The grand conspiracy. They hid Hunter's criminality laptop. They spied on, attacked, and framed President Trump. They tried to Charlie Kirk President Trump. They are trying to turn the military. Hashtag consequences. Elon showing us graphs about absolute poverty and relative poverty. Poverty can and will be eliminated, but envy is eternal. Okay. Svetlana Lakova says the story is simple. Epstein hated Donald Trump because Epstein believed Donald Trump reported him to authorities, causing Epstein's downfall. Epstein decided to overthrow President Trump via impeachment. He gave money and patronage to Democrats to achieve his goals. President Trump is squeaky clean. Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, and company visited the island, plus possible financial ties to Epstein. So they devised an op to make it look like President Trump is compromised when he is not. Now the Dems are going down. That from Svetlana Lakova. From the former Marjorie Taylor Greene Chief of Staff. I'm seeing a lot of these same 10-year-old attacks on Trump bubbling up from the left and right all over again. Same fake news, different year. Many on the right are in bed with these people, seeking to undermine and destroy Trump in order to benefit themselves. If you disagree with Trump, like I do at times, on an issue or two, push him from the grassroots, present solutions or alternatives. But being an intentional, useful idiot for the Democrats and their propaganda arms will not usher in an American-only utopia. It will produce an America-last government, the likes of which Obama, Kamala, and Biden could only dream of. That's pretty fair. Lakova also shared this clip from Joe Rogan talking about Epstein and Bill Clinton.
Why do you think Epstein had that giant painting of Bill Clinton in a dress in his foyer?
Dude.
Do you know that picture?
Yeah.
That painting?
Epstein's taste in art was not great. Like, if you look at the
No,
shit...
that was great. That painting is like, I got you, bitch. That's what that is.
Oh, right.
You got a president who was on the flight logs 26 times with Epstein, and you got that guy in a fucking dress in your house.
Okay, I'm dumb. I'm sorry, dude. I'm officially dumb because
Why?
I've known about that picture. And I've just been like, why would anybody want a fucking picture
that
of
is,
Bill?
I got you, bitch.
That's just a like, hey, yeah.
That's I got you, bitch.
That is terrifying.
That's terrifying.
It's interesting he didn't quite pick up on what that was. That's blackmail.
Fine. Imagine if I knew some horrible dark secrets about you and you came over my house and I have a giant painting of you right when you walk into the front door.
Yeah.
Of you in a dress.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, buddy.
Hi, welcome.
Yeah.
You're right.
How fucking terrifying that would be?
That's terrifying.
You know he knows about it. I mean, you walk right in and bam, there's that painting.
And now you kind of control a president.
Holy shit, dude.
Holy shit. It's
well, that's
crazy.
100% what they were doing.
And isn't that something we need to rip out by the roots? A couple more from Lakova, since I found her from that other good post. I found a few and shared them with you. The two Vindman brothers, Eugene and Alexander, were key figures in the fake 2019 Ukraine impeachment of President Trump. Alexander Vindman's wife, Rachel Vindman, stated that Biden didn't pardon the Vindman family. Before he departed in January, she expressed feelings of betrayal and hurt over the omission, posting publicly that no pardons were offered or discussed. Buckle up. Lakova also says, impeach the judge. A U.S. attorney, interim U.S. attorney Lindsay Halligan. There we go. Lindsay Halligan suggested Wednesday that the Biden-appointed judge overseeing the criminal case against former FBI Director James Comey violated judicial conduct rules by asking if she was a puppet of President Trump. District Judge Michael Nachmanoff asked Comey's defense lawyer if he thought Halligan, the prosecutor who brought the indictment against the former FBI boss, was acting as a puppet or stalking horse of the commander-in-chief during a hearing in Alexandria, Virginia courtroom. Personal attacks like Judge Nachmanoff referring to me as a puppet don't change the facts or the law, Halligan exclusively told the Post. Lakova with a couple more. Russiagate was the first CIA military rebellion against President Trump, the commander-in-chief. In response to Stephen Miller saying 10 years after the deep state Russia hoax, top Democrats openly appeal to CIA and military officials to engage in rebellion against their commander-in-chief. Do not underestimate how dangerously radicalized the Democrat Party has begun.
You can refuse illegal orders.
It's got music, so I can't play it. But here. Refuse illegal orders. You can refuse illegal orders. You must refuse illegal orders. No one has to carry out the orders that violate the law. And in a way, all they're saying is what the Oath Keepers are saying. But this is clearly aimed at President Trump because they know what's coming. They know that military have been pre-positioned across the country. We know that ICE has been showing up. Homeland Security has been showing up and strategizing how to handle what's about to happen. This is a military act to remove the invading army into the United States. Make no mistake about it. This is not an insignificant thing that's about to happen. And it's not insignificant that you have these Democrat lawmakers telling members of the military not to follow the command of President Trump, to handle the insurrection that's occurred, the invasion that's occurred. This is military act. You don't bring in tens of millions of military-aged men from parts unknown, completely unvetted, and get to stay. No, you need to go back out. I don't know who you are. Nobody invited you here. Nobody invited you here legally. Use the app. CBP 1 is now CBP Home. Go home. Raise your hand. Go through the criminal background checks. If you want to come back, that's the way to do it. If not, it's time to round you up and go. And I'm all for finding the best way to do that, the most constitutional way to do that. However, we're in a war. We didn't start it. We didn't want this. We didn't vote for this. This is absolute abuse of power. And now when they're saying to ignore unconstitutional law.
And it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA.
Hey, CIA members, Army, Navy, Air Force, your vigilance is critical. And know that we have your back because now more than ever, the American people need you. We need you to stand up for our laws and our Constitution and who we are as Americans. Yeah, you're traitors. Don't give up. Don't give up the ship. That is going to backfire tremendously, and it seems as though it already has. All right. Nimbus, I'll get you in a sec, bud. So Representative Corey Mills, Republican, Florida, the effort to censure him failed on the House floor, 310 to 103. Sent to the Ethics Committee for investigation instead. The Uniparty protects their own again. Trump official fires back at Democrats' Epstein donor claims it's a totally different person. This clown, what's her face? Jasmine Crockett. Meghan McCain says, my dad has been gone 7 years, Jasmine. He never met Jeffrey Epstein, let alone took money from him. The Jeffrey Epstein you are referencing is an entirely different human being. Do you have mashed potatoes for brains? You absolute joke. Yes, mashed potato brains. Edward says it's absolutely bonkers story that Somalian immigrant and illegal alien communities in Minnesota have been overdiagnosing their own kids with autism so they can funnel billions of Medicaid dollars back to terrorist cells in Somalia. That's the claim. Christopher Rufo says the reporting on America's Somali fraud rings stolen billions in taxpayer funds and sent some to Islamist terrorists back home. The largest funder of al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer. My God. Pull all of this out by the root. Trump, according to the Washington Times, President Trump has set peacemaking sights on Sudan at the request of the Saudi Crown Prince. Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia announces they're increasing their $600 million investment to $1 trillion. Prince says, you work for world peace, I believe, Mr. President. Today and tomorrow, we're going to increase that $600 billion to almost $1 trillion investment. Trump, you're saying to me now the $600 billion will be $1 trillion? Definitely. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, has thoughts on how to protect our kids.
One of the things that's going to happen next year is the Trump accounts. Every child who was born from January 1st for the next 3 years is going to get a government account that goes into the stock market. So every American child born for the next 3 years, starting January 1st, is going to have that. They can take it out when they're 18. They're going to learn the power of compounding, and there's going to be a lot of financial literacy around that. And I think the reason that we saw kind of the disastrous election in New York is young people don't feel like they have a stake in the economy. So we want to give them a stake in the economy. One of the things that's going to happen next year.
You're giving them a stake in the economy. It's an interesting thing. Ben Berkwam says Islam is not compatible with America. Neither are communism or cartels. Ironically, all three are the base of the Democrat Party today. Tim Atchison asks, why is she still on her committees? Bo said, you forgot USVI Representative Stacey Plaskett, U.S. Virgin Islands. Epstein raised funds for her campaign. Plaskett served as a House manager during former President Donald Trump's second impeachment trial. On the phone with him. Colluding, collaborating to take President Trump down. Why is this person still on committee? Per the Democrats' rules of George Santos, they need to be removed immediately, right? They should at least be stripped of committee roles and quarantined. It's just people screaming outside for Intifada, yelling at a Park East synagogue. They're yelling Intifada, Intifada. It says anti-Semites. Rabbi Pupko says anti-Semites showed up outside East Park Synagogue chanting for Intifada. The rabbi of the synagogue is a Holocaust survivor who remembers vividly the horrors of the Kristallnacht. Now he gets to see the same human material that shattered the glass of synagogues in Berlin and Vienna in 1938 outside of his own synagogue. This is not about Gaza and has never been about Gaza. It's an attack on the Jewish people, he claims. Benny Johnson talking with Representative Tim Burchett, revealing why Elon was run out of D.C.
What should happen to the Clintons?
It should be punished. We should get to the bottom of everything. We should find out where the money went. We should find out where the money went when they were down there in that island. Not just the Epstein Island, the
Haiti?
Haiti. But too many people got rich off this. Look, Benny, here's how it works. It's just the NGOs, and let's talk about them non-government organizations which are government. Just my bill to defund the Taliban. 1,000 NGOs plus you add the UN, probably 3,000 NGOs. The money flows, and Elon Musk had it right, and that's why I think both parties shunned themselves from him, because he said, hey, that was NGOs, and money flows right back to Washington. And he told me, he said, I think it flows in the pockets of politicians. I mean, you had the ranking member of the committee I serve on that went through the bill to defund the Taliban, which, still waiting in the Senate for them to pass it. All kinds of confusion over there. They're fighting over the NGOs. The money, he told me the money flows right from your pockets to the dadgum NGOs. The NGOs, the money comes right back to Washington in the form of dark money and in the pockets of politicians. That's why you're seeing Republicans go squishy on NGOs, because they're shady as hell. They all are. I mean, if you're involved in it, they are. Not everybody up here is. Some of them are just willing idiots. They just go along to get along, so they know that they'll get their crumbs, and they don't really ask where they come from.
Do you think that that's what Elon found, and that's why he was run out of the city?
That's my theory. That's my theory, ultimately. I think he was getting too close. I don't know if he found the specifics yet, but I'd say he was right on it. He was right on it. And then you don't see the media rap, and I know I got to get on. I got to go. I got to get out. I got to get to my deal. C-SPAN, I apologize. But yeah, that's exactly what happened. I mean, it's money, it's power, and it's arrogance. All those three things is what runs this town.
Mm-hmm. A lot of it's falling apart right now, though. Getting too close, Elon was, to exposing the corrupt officials getting rich off dark money from NGOs. That's why both parties gave him the Heisman. Washington, NGOs, it's all a shell game. And it has been for a very long time. So we got to figure out what comes next. Like, what are we going to allow as a nation? If there's commerce occurring and people are doing what they feel like doing, what do you care if it doesn't impact you? But this stuff impacts us. It really impacts us. It's relevant. It's important. It needs to stop. Clandestine says Trump just officially signed the bill to release the Epstein files. He also highlights how Epstein was a lifelong Democrat and Democrat financier who was very close to the Dems. Trump even said this will backfire on the Dems. It was a trap. Boomerang. President Trump says, there you go. Now you can read it. Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, was a lifelong Democrat, donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians, and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures, such as Bill Clinton, who traveled on his plane 26 times, Larry Summers, who just resigned from many boards, including Harvard, sleazebag political activist Reid Hoffman, minority leader Hakeem Jeffries, who asked Epstein to donate to his campaign after Epstein was charged, Democrat Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett, and many more. Perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed, because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. As everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass this bill in the House and the Senate respectively. Because of this request, the votes were almost unanimous in favor of passage. At my direction, the Department of Justice has already turned over close to 50,000 pages of documents to Congress. Do not forget, the Biden administration did not turn over a single file or page related to Democrat Epstein, nor did they ever even speak about him. Democrats have used the Epstein issue, which affects them far more than the Republican Party, in order to try and distract from our amazing victories, including the great big beautiful tax cut bill, strong borders, no men and women's sports or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, lowering prices, biggest tax and regulation cuts in history, ending 8 wars, rebuilding our military, knocking out Iran's nuclear capability, getting trillions of dollars invested in the United States, creating the hottest country anywhere in the world, and even delivering a huge defeat to the Democrats on recent shutdown disaster. For years, our great nation has had to endure Russia, Ukraine, impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, and many other Democrat-created witch hunts and scams, all of which have been so terrible and divisive for our country, and have been done to confuse, deflect, and distract from the great job that Republicans and the Trump admin are doing. This latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats, just as all the rest have. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. J.B. Pritzker says Trump is turning the Department of Homeland Security into his own failed money pit with a personal agenda, pulling agents off child exploitation, human trafficking, and terrorism cases just to chase headlines. This is not law and order. It's a national security failure. Huh? They're wrapping these people up week after week. Exploiters, traffickers, terrorists, every week. Libs of TikTok responds to J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois, temporarily. They say a woman was doused in gasoline and lit on fire on a train in your state by a repeat offender with dozens of priors. I don't think anyone should be taking law and order advice from you. Secretary Linda McMahon of Education says we're encouraged by the outpouring support from members of Congress, state leaders, and advocates to return education to the states. Parents and local educators know their students best. Harmeet Dillon, Assistant Attorney General, says promises made, promises kept. President Trump said something kind of interesting here.
Susie Wells, she had her father, Pat Summerall, the great.
His chief of staff, Susie Wiles.
Pat Summerall, the great announcer. Susie Wells, she had her father, Pat Summerall, the great announcer. Football. He was a great football player, became an even greater, the voice of the NFL, and he was supposed to be a tough cookie, and I believe it 100%. Most powerful woman in the world. She can take out a country, take out a country with one phone call. That's power. I don't know if I could do that, but she could. Thank you, Susie. Do you feel good about the job you're doing? Huh? She's never going to be satisfied.
That was a little strange. The response to Epstein made me question Susie Wiles' ability, because they ran a great campaign and they were just go. I've appreciated the activity, but the handling of the Epstein thing was very curious, unless it was all a trap. And if it was all a trap, then she did a fantastic job. We'll see. But that was an odd quote. She can take out a country, take out a country with one phone call. That's power. I don't know if I could do that. I don't even know what he's talking about. Libs of TikTok shares us this story. Shame on 7-Eleven.
He threatened me, said
This is the worker.
that he was gonna slice my head off, and then that's when I tried to call the police. Realized he started throwing things at me. Came behind the counter. I tried to run off, but he grabbed his hands around my neck and pushed me out of the counter space. That's when I pulled out my gun and I shot him. Said that they were going to separate from employment because of a violation policy. This was a situation where I felt like I was put in a corner between choosing between my job and my life, and I'm always going to choose my life because there's people that depend on me. I'm going home. You know, that's my goal. I need to be here for my kids. If I known that, you know, there's a potential where somebody could be for real in taking my life away, that I will do whatever it takes. You know, I hope that, you know, women see that and, you know, they'll do the same thing. You have the right to defend yourself.
Yeah, we all have the right to defend ourselves. And if your policy means that you don't get to defend yourself, that's not a defendable policy. It's just not. This guy says millions of Coloradans' lives were saved. A random man purchased a storage unit and found a cartel stash of 12 kilos of fentanyl powder and 1.8 million fentanyl pills, tracing it to the Sinaloa cartel, allegedly. Matt Van Swol in North Carolina says illegals are voting, getting free food, education, healthcare, housing, or housing assistance. It's the most insane scam ever perpetrated on the American people. Hey, John, I think you sent me this yesterday or something like this, right? Greg Abbott. I saw it like a day later. I didn't check my personal messages.
On it is real. We know of at least 2 that exist in the Dallas area. We're looking broader in Dallas County as well as Collin County, which is right next to Dallas. And that's why I sent the letter to officials both in Dallas and Collin counties to urge them to take action to root out any Sharia courts. And I am deploying the Texas Department of Public Safety to also root out any Sharia courts anywhere in the state of Texas. To be clear, the Texas Constitution does not allow Sharia courts or Sharia law. Texas statutes have banned Sharia law, and we are going to pursue this until we purge any attempt to impose Sharia law in Texas.
I mean, this should just be a nationwide thing, right? In 2017, Texas passed AM laws for AM courts statute affirming rulings based on foreign law that violate Texas law can't be enforced in the Texas court system. Elon talking about why people are switching from the Democrat to Republican Party.
You know what'll turn you from a Democrat to a Republican pretty fast is getting punched in the face while you walk down the street.
Yes. For no reason.
Yes, and then no action being taken against those who hurt you.
And that happened to your mom?
Not to my mother, but to 3 of her friends this year.
And that's what I experienced in the Bronx when I was reporting for Real America's Voice. Lady I interviewed said that someone she knows or her neighbor, I forget who it was exactly, it was an elderly lady, got hit in the head on the subway with a pipe, and she's had health problems ever since. Like, doggone it, you know? Absolutely unnecessary. Lock up the crazy violent people, buddy, right? You jumping up? Want to be a part of the show? Huh? Huh? Nimbus. Come on. Come on. Get up here. He's giving me the lazy eyelid. There we go. Hi. Jumping into the program. Excellent, excellent, excellent. J.K. Rowling says Stephen Ireland, who targeted her with endless abuse because she opposed chemical castration of kids and the removal of protected spaces for women and girls, sentenced to 30 years in jail for child R. Adios. Take care. And that is what I wanted to share with you today, including this moment from Mr. Nimbus, who just got his lunch. And he's very happy about that. But for now, I'm going to wrap up this show. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Yeah. All the tip jars are at the bottom of the screen. We appreciate all the Rumble Rants and Super Chats. I'm going to end this show. Nimble Nimbus, yeah. Not as nimble as he used to be, but we're working on it. Ain't we, buddy? We're working on it. I'm going to hit refresh, and I'm going to be right back in 22 minutes. 22 minutes. I'm going to just turn around and be right back on with Strictly Football. So if you want to talk some football, look ahead to this upcoming week with betting trends and matchups and weather and injuries and all the things you need to know. Please join us on Strictly Football. That's today in 21 minutes. I got to hurry up and launch the next show. So for everybody out there in TNAM universe, I appreciate you. I love you, and we'll talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.